Cheltenham Hill, simply breathtaking.
It's Energumene who's cantering to victory as he comes to the last. Nothing was a match today for Energumene.
Lane is out in front and he's going to win the festival for the third time. The Ryanair goes on Lane. Side of the lane on the near side, Chihupo. It's now side of the lane who goes to the lead and he will win for the third time in the festival.
And they're off for the 2023 Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. Great man's day, Gallop and Deschamps, these two galloping on together, and here's a new chasing star, a steeple chasing star, is Gallop and Deschamps, who gallops to glory in the Gold Cup.
Ah yes, wonderful memories there for one particular member of our panel. Welcome along to the Ladbrokes Cheltenham Festival Preview 2024 in association with On The Wire. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and you have got the ultimate preview night panel in front of your very own eyes. Yes, welcome Paul Townend, Mark Boylan, Nicola McGeady and Dan Skelton. We have to come to you first, Paul. You're like the male version of Margot Robbie. Everybody wants to be Paul Townend at Cheltenham this year. How do you feel about that?
It's the first I've heard of that, David, to be honest.
Not in looks now, but not in looks, by the way. Can I just point that out? But all women want to be Margot Robbie. All fellas who are into racing want to be Paul Townend. How are you feeling?
Good, yeah, we're almost there. So exciting and anxious and exciting, I suppose, this time. And yeah, can't wait to get it started.
You don't strike me as a guy that gets nervous. Is the kind of couple of days before Cheltenham the one time in your life you do actually get nervous?
Probably the week before rather than really close to the time, because there's so much going on. You're trying to sit on so many and second guess what's going to go where, and by the time you get to Cheltenham it's too late to worry about it, and you just got to go and perform then.
And second guess Willie obviously as well, which isn't an easy thing to do.
No, and you're probably a fool if we try and do it, but we'll try and do it anyway.
We just saw Gallop and Deschamps winning the Gold Cup last year. What a performance. For something to go so wrong for so long in the race and for to produce that performance, I'd say passing the line you got some kick.
Yeah, relief I suppose that it had worked out. I hadn't planned on being as far back, planned on dropping them in. But no, it worked out well, I suppose. Going out in the second circuit, we had them in our sights and we kept them in our sights as long as we could, and thankfully when I pushed the button he responded and kept going, and yeah, it was a huge performance to come from where he did.
Of course, you don't care what happened last year. You want to know what's going to happen this year. So we're going to find out later in the show if Paul Townend is going to win the Gold Cup again for the fourth time on Gallop and Deschamps. Mark Boylan, welcome to our Cheltenham Festival Preview. Previously of the Racing Post, now of the Irish Field. How are things? Looking forward to Cheltenham.
Oh, good. I feel like my introduction is going to be much less impressive now. Not Margot Robbie, definitely. I suppose every journalist might want to be David Jennings. I don't know if you want to say that, but
no.
4 Cheltenham Gold Cups for Paul. I think, my God, that's absolutely stunning, isn't it? If that's, it's an incredible record over a short space of time. But I can't wait for this week, Dave. I know there's a lot of problems in National Hunt racing, but I think this week just gives you a reminder of why you're in it. I know we might want some more clashes than we might get, but the desire for people to have jumps horses, to chase the dream of winners at Cheltenham, we see it at sales every month. People are putting their hand in their pocket to get to this moment, and we're the ones that get to enjoy it from afar without having to make that big risk. The boys here have big dates across the week, but I just can't wait for it, Dave. It's the week that we all revolve around, so whether you like it or not, this is the one, and I can't wait.
And Nicola, for you, for Ladbrokes, this is the ultimate week. This is the biggest week of your year.
Yeah, I guess it's not just the clashes of the horses on the course, it's the punters versus the bookies, swings and roundabouts all week. We'll be hoping some of those short price favourites can get turned over, but biggest week of the year and we're so excited.
And Dan Skelton, I would say, I'm not just buttering you up because I need you to produce the goods for the next hour and a half or so, but probably one of the best target trainers in the business. When you plot one out for a race, you seldom miss. Have you got a few of them in your locker this year?
We've been plotting a bit, but the target gets wider and wider, I'm afraid. Like Mark says, when you go to Cheltenham, everyone's putting the full lot in, and we've been lucky over the years to land a few. But I will have to remind you, last year I thought Pembroke was going to win the county hurdle, and a 33-1 shot did. So maybe my target wasn't quite on that day.
And we do have Langerdam once again, who I think has either made or broke everybody's Cheltenham Festival for the last couple of years. Obviously, you bumped into Gallop and Deschamps once upon a time, but he hit the target last year, and he could be back this year.
he will be back this year. I've been getting a good slating over any social media or even not social media that I can get it. I was going to respond with who when you asked about Langer Dan, but I thought I better not wind the situation up too much. But he's in good form. He comes alive in the spring. We'll talk about him later. But he's one of a number of our horses who had ulcers in the autumn. So he's over that now. Hopefully he can give us a bit more to cheer about in the Coral Cup this time.
Absolutely. That is day 2. But we're going to kick on with day 1, the opening day of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. Just to talk you through how this is going to work, we're going to go through each day. We're going to get the panel's best bet each day as well. And then we're going to have our charity bets at the end of the show. So there's only one place to kick off, and that is, of course, with the Supreme Novices Hurdle. It is 1:30 on Tuesday, and with Ladbrokes at the moment, Ballyburn is their 5-4 favourite. Is he going here? Is he not? We may be about to find out. Tully Hill is 7-2. Mystical Power is 5-1. Firefox is 7-1. Slade Steel 8-1. Jericho to Reppin 9-1. And it is 12-1 bar. Right, Paul Townend. Ballyburn, first of all, as a horse. Never mind what race he's going to go to. As a horse, how good is he?
I think he's really good. Obviously, very disappointing he got beat the first day. Plenty of them were, and it turned into a dawdle. Missed the second last. But I was happy leaving there that we still had a very good horse, and he showed that at Christmas and again back at the Dublin Racing Festival. So he's progressing away nicely, and he has everything, most things you want in a horse. He runs with his head quite low, but he's a good mount. He was well broken, so he's well manageable. Jumps, stays, and has speed. So you know he has all the attributes you want in a horse. Hopefully we can just channel him in the right way.
Can you remember the first time you sat in him in Willie's?
Yeah.
How did it feel? Did he feel different?
It was in Fairy House when I got betting him.
Really?
To be honest,
You had never sat in him before?
I hadn't sat in him. No. Willie likes to keep his riders on his horses at home, and there's a lot of them there, and I hadn't sat in him. But no, as I say, I got a good feel off him in Fairy House that day, albeit we were beaten.
And the horse that was beaten at Fairy House to the horse who won at the Dublin Racing Festival, was it chalk and cheese?
It was 2 different races as well. They went to gallop. Even that we're stepping up and trip at Leopardstown, they went more of a gallop. It was more competitive. We hacked around in Fairy House and turned into a dash down the straight, and we just probably lacked a little bit of jumping experience, but we're coming back at the winner at the line again.
Yeah, and this is obviously Firefox who's beating you here, who could re-oppose you in the Supreme if that's the route you go down. There will be people watching this clip now and they'll say, hold on a second here, Firefox is 7-1, Ballyburn is 5-4, he's beating you convincingly here. Why can you turn around that form if he runs in the Supreme?
I think we've improved a lot, and I suppose as much as us improving, Firefox's disappointing run in Ace is probably a lot to answer to for that. But he probably is forgotten about Firefox because all the talk has been about Ballyburn. The horse has been performing recently, and you can forgive a horse a bad run. Gordon knows when Cheltenham is, and he'll have him ready there.
Okay, you can answer these questions very quickly. Right here, right now, do you know what race he's going to run in?
No.
Right here, right now, do you have an opinion on what race he should run in?
Not strongly. I love the horse, and I think he'll take a lot of beating in either.
That's my final question. You preempted it. If he runs in the Supreme or the Ballymore, do you think he'll win either race?
With average luck, I think he'll go very close in either one, yeah.
Okay, that is Ballyburn. Mark Boylan, can anything beat Ballyburn?
I'm very encouraged to hear that. I'm a huge Ballyburn fan. I think he's the best novice hurdler either side of the Irish Sea, any division. I'd be very much in Paul's view as well. That time when he was beaten by Firefox, Fact to File was beaten in a beginner's chase by American Mike around the same time. I think there's a significant turnaround in the fitness level, sharpness, all that. I think if he doesn't go here, I suppose, is the queer. Because I think wherever Ballyburn goes, I think he'll win. I think he's banker material 5-4. But if he doesn't go here and you have Tully Hill as a short price favourite, he's one I would be keen to take on. I just think he has been beaten at 1-7 or 1-8 already this season. Admittedly, given him the pass, maybe that he wasn't sharp, but he was well below it. And as well as that, just a little stat that I was digging out in the last couple of weeks. Since 2005, horses trying to overcome a layoff between Cheltenham, a gap as short as Tully Hill is having to do in any of the Supreme, the Bingham or the Arkle. 115 of them have tried since 2005, 2 have won. One was Lebeck, and he basically refused on his start before Cheltenham. So, and even Willie's record, when he does go in that shorter window, you know, the strike rate of it's kind of half as what it would usually be. The 4 hurdlers or chasers I can think of that have won for Willie off that 23 day or less. It's Covega completely outclassed in the field. It's Burnham Victory, who shouldn't have really won a Triumph bar, Goshen coming down, and a couple of horses who were £30 well in, Wicklow Brave and Don Poli. So to me, you know, that angle, I think the turnaround is tighter than you want for him. If he wasn't going to get there, Ballyburn, I think the value is Jericho de Repine. Form of his last start, got a boost for all that it was messy, you know, and that camp have loved him all the way along. I just think 9-1 at the moment. If Ballyburn doesn't go, he's absolutely where I'd like to have a swing at each way. But if Ballyburn goes either direction, I think he'll win.
What a start from Mark Boylan. You've come out of the traps quick there with stats like that. Holy God. He's rebounded the ball back to you here very quickly, Paul. He doesn't fancy Tullyhill if Tullyhill goes in this race. Do you disagree?
I think he warrants respect. He was obviously ran over the first day, very poor. Got stuck into school, and it's improved run by run. And I think he's a horse going left-handed will suit him. And I think the more competitive race will get him more competitive and hopefully speed up his jumping. He's getting better doing it his own way. He's not the extravagant, natural Ballyburn jumper, but he gets from A to B and he's improving at doing it. I think a competitive race will help him as well.
And finally, what do you make of Mythical Power?
At home, you wouldn't think much of him, but he's been impressive on the track. You know, I remember him going for a bumper and kind of what's going to happen, and he won, and he's improved again. And you know, his win in the Moscow Flyer, you'd have to stand up and take note of it, I think.
Okay, but you're a Ballyburn man.
He's the wrong jersey for me.
He is the wrong jersey for you. And here is Mystical Power. Quite impressive, I thought, in the Moscow Flyer, beating Jigaro, who Tullyhill has since beaten by further than Mystical Power has. Right, Dan Skelton, I'm taking out a few bob out of my wallet here. I'm going to write a blank check, okay? You can buy any horse in this race for me to own for you. I'd love to have a horse with you. We can buy any horse in this race apart from Ballyburn. Which one are we buying?
I'd buy Jericho de Repine to go chasing next year.
Okay, you're thinking ahead. I like it.
But I don't think he'll win this race.
Who will win this race?
If he runs in at Ballyburn. But I have to say, Ballyburn would be... If Ballyburn wins this, he'll win a Gold Cup one day. He's by Flemingfirth out of an Olvik mare. He's bred to get 16 mile, but he shows loads of speed. Love the way he gallops. He opens his stride. He really gallops. You can see him turning in over 2 or 2.5 on the Tuesday or the Wednesday and opening up that hill. I don't see there's whichever race he runs in, I think he win. I think it comes down to how important Willie thinks it is to win the first race of the first day. If Willie thinks that that's the most important race to get the team off to a flyer, he'll run his best horse, which is Ballyburn, and he will win. I have to say, Ballyburn is a certainty in this. He's an even bigger certainty in the 2.5, in my opinion. I think Tullyhill has question marks, and I'd have to say Mystical Power would be the one I would fall with if Ballyburn didn't run. Firefox hasn't gone quite the right way. Slade Steel has seven lengths to find with Ballyburn. So the Mullins camp know if Mystical Power or Tullyhill is less than 7 lengths behind Ballyburn, they're safe to not run Ballyburn here. So I think the whole thing is there's a lot of these festival races this year. The form is so interlinked with so few yards that there's clues everywhere. You've just got to really take your time to look at them all. And the professionals, the trainers, the jockeys, and everybody else who's inputting it will make a big note of a lot of these races. Realistically, there's only 4 or 5 winners of the Grade 1s, maximum. And yet we're talking about one that probably we think is only a 1-horse race or a 2-horse race. So there's a lot of information out there. I'd be very impressed if Ballyburn could win the Supreme Novice Hurdle, being by Flemingfirth out of an Olvik mare.
Nicola McGeady, this is going to set the tone for Ladbrokes for the week. If Ballyburn wins the Supreme Novice Hurdle, likely at odds on, he's 5-4 now without knowing whether he's going to run in the race. He could go off a shade of odds on. This is going to make or break your week, I'd say.
My heart's racing as you say that, because that is actually
you're looking
what
at
happened.
me, Nicola, is it?
No, unfortunately not, DJ.
No,
but
thought not.
yeah, listen, this is the race, as you said. It sets the tone of the week, and Willie Mullins is unstoppable at the moment. We've seen that at the Dublin Racing Festival when he won all 8 Grade 1s. He's 1-6 to be top trainer. So unfortunately for us, I do think he is going to set the tone of the week and win here if Ballyburn comes here. He was one of the buzz horses going into the Dublin Racing Festival, and he was so impressive that day. And he's just, I think, if there's a bit of cut in the ground, then this is the race he should go for, although Paul's sitting here and I'm telling him where he should go. But yeah, listen, I think Ballyburn, everyone's going to be on this horse. Looking down the field, Tully Hill's in there at 7-2. It certainly deserves respect and threw a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons there when winning by 9 lengths at Punchestown. Mystical Powers in there at 5-1 again. Looked really impressive, as we've just seen in the Moscow Flyer. Firefox, a little bit of a forgotten horse, you could say. There wasn't a fluke. It didn't look like a fluke. He obviously disappointed at Naas, but back to his trip here, and Elliott was really positive in his stable tour about him as well. So, if we're trying to look for a little bit of value, this isn't a bookmaker trying to put people off Ballyburn, but Firefox at 7-1 possibly represents that.
Is Ballyburn one of your worst losers of the week?
No, but I will tell you that as the show goes on, who is the worst.
Stay tuned.
I think people just want a little bit of certainty, and the horses that they know, where they're going, are the ones that are being backed right now.
Okay, to sum up then, who wins the 2024 Supreme Novice Hurdle, Paul Townend?
Ballyburn if he goes.
Mark Boylan.
Ballyburn.
Nicola McGeady
Ballyburn.
and Dan Skelton.
Ballyburn if he goes.
It's a clean sweep. It's a unanimous jury for Ballyburn in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. That's the 1:30. Moving on to the second race on Tuesday, and it is the Arkle Novice Chase. This is trickier. This is a lot trickier because Marine National, who was odds on before the Dublin Racing Festival, is now out to 9-4 with Ladbrokes. Elete Thomas, who won the Irish Arkle at the Dublin Racing Festival, is 9-2. Found at 50 is 5-1. 6-1 Gaelic Warrior. 7-1 Facile Vega. 8-1 Hunter's Yarn. 9-1 JPR1 and 10-1 Calixios, who's been nibbled at a big price over the last fortnight. Nicola, I'm going to come to you here first. This is more like it. This is a bookie stream. This is the race where Ladbrokes could get a result.
Yeah, we love these type of races. It's one of the more open races and looks a real betting heat. The race changed shape, obviously, when Marine National was beaten at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was well beaten by Elete Tom, but still is the favourite at 9-4. I think you'll have plenty of punters keeping the faith in Marine National. I'm not sure Elete Tom likes Cheltenham. He's impressed before at the Dublin Racing Festival, then he's gone on and disappointed at Cheltenham. He's the second favourite at 9-2. You did mention Calixios. That has been well backed. That is something I really fancy as well, at 10-1 for Henry de Bromhead. He's already won at the festival. He jumps well over this trip, and you'll have to forgive him for his run in November. The trip just didn't suit him, but he bounced back brilliantly at Naas and in January. I think there's a lot to like about this horse, and he is shortening up, and I'd say he'll be a good bit shorter come the day.
Okay, there you go. So money for Calixios now at 10-1 with Ladbrokes. Paul Townend, what in the name of God are you going to ride in this race?
I've no idea.
This isn't going to be easy.
It's a minefield.
I think the horse that you're going to ride is... Oh, he is on the screen there. I think you're still going to ride Gaelic Warrior if he runs here.
If he runs here, yeah. He's won the 3 mile novice hurdle, though, grade 1 Punchestown. He's back to 2. He's been beaten around the track here on the inside.
Don't make me think of Brazil again. Don't bring up Brazil again.
But he has an engine. Look, the gallop he went around Punchestown and me the first day, blew out the last day at the Dublin Racing Festival with Fact to File. But yeah, he's a very, very good horse. Put it this way: if he's on the declaration sheet, he'll be hard to stick your name alongside something else. But you can say that for a lot of them. Elete Thoms probably doesn't get the credit he's deserved. He's won a grade 1 over fences and hurdles and has been a second string, and you'd say he's fallen into them, but he still won them. Hunter's Yarn has probably unproven, went for the county last year, probably didn't jump well enough in it. And Facile Vega, we'll probably have enough time to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll be here till the weekend. With Facile Vega, he could go for the turners, I know, but he is a little bit of an enigma in that Willie thinks he is the bomb. What do you make of him?
I thought so as well, to be honest. The work he done before Dublin Racing Festival was extraordinary. I sat in him and rode him, and only I felt it myself. I wouldn't believe it on what I'd seen Stevens' day and at Dublin. So it was a better run at the Dublin Racing Festival though. Willie likes him a lot and is putting a lot of time into him. So, if there's one man that can make him peak, it's Willie. So, look, I sit here and I go through them all. We'll have to wait and see what turns up. And I'm, to be honest, not giving it too much thought because I'd drive myself mad if buts and maybes, and then I'd probably pick out a 1-2 and neither of them would turn up. So I can't put you off any of them at home. I think Marine National is the more interesting one. You know, he was very disappointing the last day, and do you forgive him one run on soft ground, and the forecast in Cheltenham, it could be on the slow side again.
Okay, so are we any the wiser? We're a little bit wiser, are we? I'm not sure. We kind of are, maybe.
Am I into something long enough
Yeah,
to come
I
to
don't
easy?
know. Willie is getting
Talk
through
and
to
not
you.
say anything.
Yeah. I thought it went Gaelic Warrior, then maybe Hunter's Yarn. Back to Let They Tomp. Okay, I'm confused. Dan, JPR1 is the leading British hope here. He's one of these horses that if we were having this, pre-season preview, we would have laughed if you said JPR1 could win an Arkle. Could he actually win an Arkle?
Well, he's improved a great deal for a fence. I don't think he can win an Arkle, but he'd definitely be one with a chance. I wouldn't say he's the most likely winner going into it.
You obviously had Pembroke ran against him last time, and Pembroke ran well for a long way there.
He did. I actually... for me, this race revolves around, can you forgive one horse, one bad run? If you can, then you just got to back Marine National because he's 9-4 instead of being odds on, which you thought you were going to have to back him at odds on. If he'd have stood on a stone coming off the lorry that day at Leopardstown, he'd still be odds on and couldn't run that day. So you've got a lot of information. You've got a better price because he's ran once. The only thing is it looks fairly likely like this is going to be a soft ground first day at least, if not whole week. So you have to factor that in. The horse that I would put up is Master Chewy. He's a 25-1 shot. He got badly hampered the last day at Lingfield. He beat a Grade 1 winner when he won at Christmas. It's a very, very open race. Twiston's horses hold their form, they're hard fit, and they know how to have Grade 1 winners. And I think he's massively overlooked at 25-1. A lot of experience.
Follow that, Mark Boylan. 25-1 Master Chewy gives a good shout out by Dan.
I'd love to be able to come with a pearl as wise as that now. But
are we forgiving Marine National?
Put it this way, Dave. If you offered me a free bet in the Arkle, you said, there's a free bet, back something, I'd back Marine National, but could have put my hand in my own pocket and back him. I probably just don't think I can.
Typical Offaly man, yeah. Taking somebody else's money. Won't spend your own.
For me, and it's funny, I've spoken to a couple of judges that I respect in terms of paddock views, and they thought that looking at him in the paddock before the Irish Arkle that he wasn't himself. They thought going to post that he looked off. And the vibe I get from that camp as well is that they don't think he was the same horse even before he ever set foot in the track that day for whatever reason. I'm not willing to say the ground is the absolute pass because he's won a Royal Bond on soft ground. Technically, starting last year's Cheltenham when he won the Supreme, the ground was described as soft. So it's not as if he's absolutely this firm ground specialist that needs it. One thing I'd throw out there, I don't know why this is exactly, but I suppose we only get to know declared wind-up information in Britain to the authorities officially. It's at the trainer's discretion what they tell us here. Barry Connell told us at the start of the season that Marine National had a wind-up, returned to a tongue-tie. The last 10 British train winners of the Champion Chase have all had wind-ups at some stage in their life, in terms of 2-mile chasers, able to do it at the top table. There's lots of horses who have tongue-ties, haven't had wind-ups, have showed up really well in an Arkle. But you watch this guy, you do wonder slightly watching him. Is there something to do with this? He carries his head slightly that way. But he's done it kind of all the way through his career. Early on in his career in bumpers, he has had that kind of carriage. It hasn't stopped him entirely. Listen, this race, you have 28 chances to make money on Cheltenham this year, 28 races. This is not going to be the one that I'm ringing the Credit Union for the loan before. This makes me want to go to the bar now, even though I don't drink, to try and solve it. So no, look, if you said to you, Marine National is the likeliest winner, but I can't. I'm not that ballsy to go and back on myself.
God, it must be bad if somebody who doesn't drink is going to the bar for the Arkle. So to sum up then, Dan Skelton, you're with Master Chewy.
Wow.
Nicola McGeady, Calixios.
Yeah.
You're going to the bar.
Yeah.
Poker and orange.
I'll take a Marine National if you force me.
Okay. And Paul?
I'm buying a lotto ticket.
You're getting a my body next to Mark. That is your Arkle.
I hope not.
Yeah. No, you have plenty to choose from. Moving on to the feature race on the Tuesday of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. And this has taken on a whole new meaning in the last couple of hours because Constitution Hill obviously didn't work well, to say the least, at Kempton on Tuesday morning, and he is very much on the drift. Obviously, this is non-runner money back. Stateman is currently Ladbrokes 4-7 favourite, Constitution Hill 4-6, Lossiemouth 3-1, 6-1 Irish Point, and 12-1 Bar. Right, Paul, we have to come to you here first, obviously. Where did you hear the news? Where were you when news emerged of Constitution Hill working terribly at Kempton?
I was in Willie's, Redmore.
And who was it? Was it, oh my God, kind of thing? You'll never guess what's happened?
No. There was a couple of messages came into a WhatsApp group I was in about
127 unread.
something else, and someone had just mentioned that at the end of it. So I was
How do you feel when you hear things like that?
Sure, we have to get there as well. I suppose Dan can tell us more about the training side of it and what they'll do with the horse now. But you want everything to go well for the horse you have. So no, you feel for them, but we're not there either. So we're nearly at Cheltenham, but it's the longest time to wait.
Okay, let's pretend we're going to see a peak Constitution Hill. Okay, which we still might. Dan will tell us more about whether he thinks that might happen. It's a peak Constitution Hill at Cheltenham at 3:30. Can you beat a peak Constitution Hill?
We'll struggle. I'd hope we'd give him a run for it. I thought we would last year and we didn't. I hope we can give him a race of it, get closer to him. I'm confident of beating him. No, how would you sell a lie like that? That you'd be confident going over beating Constitution Hill? I'd hope we can give him a race of it, yeah.
I was surprised at where you were in the first half of the race on Stateman last year. You're obviously a brilliant jockey, and I've never sat in a horse.
Come on, Dave, tell us.
Plenty of horses.
You're giving out about him here.
Yeah, let's just say I didn't think it was your finest 4 minutes, okay? But like most 4 minutes are fine.
I'd love to know how you thought you were going to beat that.
Obviously, no matter what you did, you would have beaten Constitution Hill. My point is, I don't think you're going to sit as far back this year on Stateman. Am I right?
Probably not. To be honest, I was struggling throughout the race last year, and I felt going that I'd give him a race of it. At the time we jumped 2 hurdles, I was never giving him a race of it. I was trying to get second and got a flicker of hope when I seen him coming out of Nico's hands at the last, but that was the last we were all in at that stage, I'm afraid.
So the Stateman that we saw at Christmas, did you get a completely different feel off him when he beat the proper Imperi Pass at Christmas to the one you rode in last year's Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, even back to after Cheltenham last year, he felt better. He just maybe he just wasn't good enough, and he wasn't able to go the pace of the race last year. But we won't know till we try again. I feel this year he's really good. He feels just really well in himself. And it wasn't an easy decision to leave Imperial Pass behind the first day, and I was delighted with the performance he put in and backed it up again the last day.
Excellent. Well, we're going to look forward to that showdown between Stateman and hopefully Constitution Hill. Dan, this Constitution Hill news, there'll be a lot of people who don't know the ins and outs of mucus and all that kind of stuff. How big of a deal is it to get him back in the space of time that we have?
This is just horrible.
Is it?
It's the worst position you could be in, because it's not final. If your horse has a proper injury, if you like, I don't wish a proper injury on anyone, but like if your horse has a tweak of something and you need 6 weeks off, it's final. You have 6 weeks off. We're not going to Cheltenham. You'll be back next season. This is terrible, because basically what this horse has got is a build-up of mucus on his lungs. He's got effectively like a cold, like a human would get. They don't feel very well, which is why he works so poorly. We've all seen the pictures and the videos and everything else. Like, he can't lay up with horses that he would otherwise make look inferior. So you need medical assistance. You need the antibiotics to make a difference, and they will make a difference. It's a matter of fact that it will clear up. But the problem is that not necessarily the length of time that you miss whilst the horse is recovering, but it's just the whole smoothness of build-up, the doubt in people's minds and everything else. Like, Constitution Hill is at his best when he's ridden confidently and kick on and, put horses like Stateman in an uncomfortable position. Like, even if he gets there, there's going to be we're not at our best, and all these things add up. And I'm not predicting that Nico's going to ride him any different or Nicky would say to Nico to ride him any differently, but it's just little bits of doubt. It's a horrible situation to be in. They've built their whole season around Cheltenham. By the way, rightly or wrongly, it's a public opinion whether it was right or wrong. That's what they've decided to do, and they're in this hideous position. I feel for them. You're asking Paul the question, what does it feel like when one of your rivals goes down? You're being human not to think, that's one less. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Of course you do. Of course you feel that as well. But we've all been in the position where it's been us. You know, okay, it's not been with Constitution Hill when you're odds on for your second champion hurdle. That's an unknown position for any of us to be in, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. I just don't think that he is going to be able to be near his best, even if he lines up on the day. And I'm not saying that all of a sudden you put your horse at risk, but you certainly put his record at risk.
I know it's very hard to gauge, and I presume this type of thing is very different depending on the horse. But something like this, where you scope dirty and there's mucus there, like, is this something that would happen to your horses very regularly at home, and they do get this kind of thing? Like, is it just part for the course?
It is unfortunately, yeah. I'd say every horse once a year would have some sort of dirty nose. Yeah. Only as much as we would, you know. You treat them with antibiotics. Sometimes it's not even that bad. You don't treat them with antibiotics. But put it this way, if Constitution Hill was any other horse, you would give them a course of antibiotics, 2 weeks steady, 3 weeks work, run. And it'd make no difference in 5 weeks' time. Yeah. Cheltenham's more like 5 days away, not 5 weeks away. Do you know what I mean? So it's just awful. The timing could not be any worse. But this brings home the fact that we're dealing with animals. They don't know it's Cheltenham. They don't know how much they cost. They don't know how important this all is. They're just doing what horses do. And this is how hard it is to work with them.
If the real Constitution Hill shows up, does he beat Stateman?
Oh, he'd hack up. He's proven it once. He's no less a horse from what we saw in the Christmas hurdle. He would beat him on his best. He would beat him. But number one, he ain't going to be his best. No, regardless of, even if Constitution Hill wins, or turns up and wins, I can tell you now, he ain't at his best.
He won't be 100%.
Not a chance in.
Wow.
No way. Zero. Okay. And it's too close to have worked that badly to then suddenly be okay in 10 days' time or whatever.
Okay, interesting. Mark, where are you on this Constitution Hill saga? We don't really know is the question. Were you fancying Stateman to give him a proper race before this news emerged?
Get closer but not beat him. That's kind of what I thought. Stateman, it was the very best performance I've seen from him. I thought last time in the Irish Champion Hurdle, beating Bob Ollinger, look back right at what Bob Ollinger can be. I thought that was Stateman at his best. Like, imagine if he said yesterday morning, you wake up and you see 4-7 Stateman, 4-6 Constitution Hill. You think he spent a week with you in the Guinness Village. Like, it's just an absolute head scratcher. For me, Constitution Hill, they've been so conservative with running him. If they do run him, like, it would be very un-Nicky-like to actually throw him in here if they weren't confident to some level that he could show. You know, I think if he runs, he wins. But I think it wouldn't be likely. Why would he take that risk? I know he doesn't maybe come over to Ireland as often as we'd love to see him here, but there are options later in the season. They can go to Aintree, they can go to Punchestown. Punchestown would give their right arm to be the beneficiary of this. I think if Constitution Hill does go, okay, it takes a lot of bravery to go in behind him, but you're getting the price now. You know, they tread carefully, especially with a horse this magnitude. So it'll be very interesting to see. I think the field will shape around that too. I think you might get a few more coming in. It's funny, all season we've been saying, am I only 4 or 5 in a champion hurdle? When you start to talk like that, people start to throw more, I'll have a go. I was on a preview panel last night with Lorna Fowler, and she's letting Colonel Mustard have a crack at this. On ratings, wouldn't be involved, but like 100 to 1, she thought he could go and take a share of the prize money. There's a lot of people in that kind of camp that will think they'll have a go right conservatively. So even from an each way perspective, it's the sneaky one that'll be coming home late. If an Irish point runs here, which seems to be a strong consideration from the Elliott camp, if you got an ease in the ground, which, talking to people across the water, it sounds like we will have an ease. I think he'll have a go at trying to win it as opposed to pick up the pieces. So that's maybe a little bit of a tread carefully sign for him if you're going in each way.
And just to clarify to my wife Aoife, I do not spend all week in the Guinness Village. I'm actually in the press room typing up reports, yeah. So thanks for that, Mark.
Sorry.
Nicola, I'd imagine Tuesday, from Ladbrokes traders' point of view, was an absolute nightmare trying to figure out, is he running, isn't he running, what price would make Stateman, what price would make Constitution Hill, what about Irish Point? I'd imagine it was a frenzy.
Absolutely, yeah, real headache in the trading floor. But listen, it was just such a blow as well, and you feel so sorry for Nicky. You could see how emotional he was in his interview as well. So it is awful. Obviously, this wasn't a betting race. Now you're seeing a real spike in traffic of people clicking on the champion hurdle to see what's going on. So it's changed from that perspective. You can see the prices there. No one would have expected to see Stateman at 4 to 7. But Stateman, is a superstar in Ireland, real straightforward horse. I love this horse. But before that news, you wouldn't have seen him catching Constitution Hill. But yeah, definitely gave our traders a lot to think about.
So to sum up then, it's Constitution Hill if he runs, but you're hoping to to get closer and possibly to beat him.
We'll rattle his cage, hopefully, and see what we can do, yeah.
Okay, that is the Champion Hurdle, the feature race on day one of the Cheltenham Festival. And the final Grade 1 on the Tuesday is, of course, the Mayor's Hurdle. And Paul Townend has another favourite. This time it's Lossiemouth at 1-2 with Ladbrokes. Astro Diamond, her stablemate, is 3-1. Brighter Days Ahead, who's not going for this race, going for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, is 8-1. Echoes and Rain, 12-1. 12-1 Gallimar. So, and Love Envoy, who pushed Honeysuckle all the way in this race last year, is also 12-1, along with Marie's Rock. And Hispanic Moon is 16-1. Nicola McGeady, Lossiemouth for many people, is the banker on day one. Is she going to get the job done?
Yeah, well, we certainly think so. In there at 1-2, we look at these bankers, and as you said, she is it on day one. She won the Triumph Hurdle last year, and I think she will take this race really in her stride. There's nobody else really is coming for money in here. Her only real challenger is Astro Diamond at 4-1, and she was very impressive at Doncaster. And Patrick seems to think she'll have a big chance, but I just think it's very hard to look past Lossiemouth. You have to look at how she just demolished a very good field at Cheltenham in January.
We're just watching this now, Nicola, as well, and to see her beating horses like that completely in her comfort zone, that's seriously impressive.
So good, and that's represented in her price. She'll be very popular in the ACCAs.
There is no finer sight in racing, Paul Townend, than to see you absolutely swinging on the bit like you are in Lossiemouth there. What's that feeling like coming to the last when you know you've got everything cooked and you can just showboat?
It's rare.
It is no more rare. It is every second day.
In Cheltenham up the hill.
You did it in the Triumph.
It was the wrong month, all right. But no, she was very good there. She obviously got keen in a messy Triumph last year at the top of the hill, but this year went there and had the, first run travelling over. Had every opportunity to get keen if she wanted, and she was just so professional. She's grown up so much. Willie obviously waited to pull her out later in the season, and it looks like it was worth the wait. She jumped fantastic. I couldn't hold on to her long enough. The last was actually a long way down the track there the last day, and in my head, we'll have one go at them after the last, and I was, I don't care by the time I got to the last. So that was that plan out the window, but it was good. Yeah, she felt great. She probably deserved to beat them, maybe, with all due respect to the second and third. The second maybe hadn't been running really up to top level for her, and the third is probably better on a flat track, but it's like she joined in at the bottom of the straight, wasn't it?
And the rumour mill from Clive Sutton was that she was working brilliant before Cheltenham, was she?
She was, yeah. Niamh Roach rides her at home, and she was definitely, she's great. She catches the eye, but she was, yeah.
Okay, if the Lossiemouth we saw there at the trials meeting at Cheltenham shows up in the Mayor's Hurdle, would you be shocked if she's beat?
I'd be very disappointed, yeah. I think she's really good, to call a spade a spade. Look, I loved Astro Diamond last year, and Patrick obviously got a good feel off her in Doncaster. She got a bad cut in Fairy House, but has come back perfect from that. So, if Lossiemouth hadn't progressed like the juveniles often don't, I definitely had my eye on her for this race last year. So, Lossiemouth being in, it's probably taken a lot of the pressure off her, and they'll probably have a little bit more free rein than if she was number one.
Is Lossiemouth one of your best rides of the week?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You answered that very quickly. I hadn't even finished the question. There you go. Mark Boylan, Lossiemouth 1-2. She's going to be one for the ACCAs. Is she safe to put in the ACCAs?
I think so, Dave. I think so. I think you go down through the list of them here. There's a few that are probably past their peak in terms of mares. She's very much on the up as a 5-year-old. But look, coming here and tipping 1-2 shots isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. I think there might be a little bit of value each way at Gallimar, so willing to give her another crack from an each way perspective. Was banged there with Lossiemouth on a few occasions last season. I won't mention the day she got the better of Lossiemouth with Leopardson last season, Paul. But look, proper mare. I just thought last time just didn't fire heavy ground. Seems like Willie has been building gradually with the 4-year-old fillies of last season to peak for the spring. I just thought there was a bit of each way value with her. You have to forgive one bad run, but if you think there is improvement to come in her, even her proximity to Astro Diamond at Doncaster, that gives her a chance. Just thought she was overpriced, but would you have any forgiveness for me with punches down last time?
I would. I'd agree with you. Probably an overreaction to have her out that far in the betting. As Dan said earlier about Marie Nationale, if she hadn't turned up that day, you wouldn't be getting 12-1 for her. But she did flop, and she'll have to leave that behind. But it was too bad to be true, you know.
Dan Skelton, you have a couple in here. West Balboa and Nurse Susan, could either run?
No, West Balboa got Aintree and Nurse Susan will run in the Martin Pipe, so I wouldn't be taking on a certainty like Lossiemouth.
And she is a certainty, is she?
She is the best bet of the week, full stop. There's a load of other horses in there from Willys who will make sure there's a good gallop, and I was not that impressed with her when she jumped the last at Cheltenham at the trials meetings. I thought, well, go on then, go somewhere. And actually, it was halfway at the run-in, she really went. And at the line, she's maybe 15 lengths clear.
Yeah.
So, if you stop the replay sort of 3-4 lengths after the last, you'd have thought, well, that's okay. But actually, at the line, she's gone. Back onto the old course for this. That race you saw there is 2 mile 1, and she's going up to. She's actually only putting on 3 furlongs for the race on the Tuesday here. So she's only got to go another 600 metres. Well, if you move the post 600 metres further up to Cheltenham, she'd only be further clear. She's an absolute certainty. She should be 10 on.
There we go. No pressure, Paul.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, that is the Mayor's Hurdle, where Lossiemouth is going to win by half the track. Now, we also have the shoulder races on Tuesday. We've got some really big handicaps, Dan Skelton. And you have a strong enough hand in the Ultima. Chamblou could run here.
Yeah.
Nemilos could run here.
Chamblou run here. He's our main one here. He's more famous for not winning a race than for winning one when he fell, obviously, in the Charlie Hall some years ago. And he just feels like we're getting back somewhere now. His last 2 runs have been good, not beat far both times. The candle's burning brighter every day. Look, you're going into an Ultimate, one of the most competitive 3 mile handicaps of the year. You need to be in a bit of good form, but it feels like it's going that way for him. He's actually only meeting the same horses again that you're meeting all season. So it's not like there's a load of a bunch coming in here that are sort of unexposed, really well handicapped, etc. And I have to say, the English have a really good record in the race, so we'll keep trying to support this one.
Quiz question for somebody: who was the last Irish horse to win the Ultima?
Dundera.
Very good. 2006 for Tony Martin and Ruby Walsh. 2006, the last time Ireland won the Ultima. Dan, you've also got a couple in the Boodles. You've got Cartoon and Co. and Cartouche. Could they run?
Yeah, Kourosh. He could run. He wants better ground. He definitely needs better ground. He got beat the other day at odds on, but he's crying out for better ground. Okay,
and Chance?
If it dried out, he would have an each way squeak, and you could ride him a little differently. We've been quite aggressive with him, so we're not going there full of he's one of our biggest chances of the week, because the ground is probably going to be against him. But he could outrun himself if all of a sudden next week you got a dry forecast.
Any money going anywhere in the handicaps on day one, Nicola? We've got obviously the Ultimate. The Boodles Lark in the morning has been a big talking horse. Where have Ladbrokes seen support?
We think we could get a result actually in the National Hunt Chase. Embassy Gardens and Corbett's Cross not totally bulletproof. And there's a couple of really good stayers in here with good riders in Salvador Ziggy, Kilbeg King and Flooring Porter. So they're ones we'll look to take on.
Okay.
Keep on side and the other 2 take on.
Mark, anything you like apart from the 4 grade ones on day one? Anything you like in the other 3 races?
You've pointed to the good record of British horses in the Ultimate. There's one I've had my eye on for this race for a while, is Giovinco for Lucinda Russell. I know he's got other options, but if he did come here 14 to 1, none on our money back, I think he got a savage chance. You know, he could be kind of Cora Grambler 2.0 type of profile, I think. You know, even at Kempton, he does jump out to his left. You can't do that in a Call a Star novice. You definitely can't do it behind Ile Francais, putting on an exhibition in front, but you just get the impression it's been baby steps at times. The run against Stay Away Faye earlier in the season just marked out that he could be a lot better than 1.46. If he runs the current weights 11-1, I'd really like Giovinco. I thought Corbett's Cross would be hard to beat the National Hunt Chase. Emmett Mullins, when he circles the date for one, it's very, very dangerous to overlook him. So for me, Giovinco in the Ultimate 14s and Corbett's Cross the National Hunt.
Paul Townend, what do you like he's riding the Boodles, do you think?
I have no idea what's going to end up here. Batman Girac, possibly if he was to go here, but he's not a straightforward horse. He hung off the track nearly with me the first day I rode him, and then I suppose to try to get him to do things right after that. If he goes here, he's kind of here by accident. I haven't been told there's anything being laid out for it, so
there's no Gaelic Warrior this year.
I managed to get betting him as well, so we'll have to find one better than that.
So there we go. That is day one of the Cheltenham Festival. Now all we need is the best bet on day one of the Cheltenham Festival for our Ladbrokes punters. Dan Skelton, if Ladbrokes punters are only having one bet on the Tuesday, who should it be?
Lossiemouth.
Nicola McGeady.
Oh, I'm taking a bit of a punt with a 10-1 shot in Colixius. I think that's in the Arkle, just Cheltenham Festival winner already, jumped brilliantly at Naas when bouncing back, and I think just it's a bit of value.
Mark Boylan, your best Tuesday bet.
Go for a day one double. Ballyburn, the Supreme, Lossiemouth in the Mares.
Okay, good day for you, so.
Be brilliant. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having a big bullet like Lossiemouth to fire at the end of the day if things have gone not according to plan up to that.
Okay, hopefully it has. And at the very end of the day, in the very last race, I think Corbett's Cross is different class in the National Hunt Chase, and he'd be my banker on day one. And that was the Tuesday of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. Yes, welcome back to our Ladbrokes Cheltenham Festival Preview in association with On The Wire. We've done Tuesday. That's all the winners for Tuesday. Now we're going to find out what's going to happen on Wednesday, kicking off with the Bingham Novices Hurdle. And we have spoken about Ballyburn, but we could see Ballyburn here as well, Paul Townend. But for the purposes of the show, let's pretend he's already won the Supreme. Okay, well done. Nice start to the week. He's not running here, so you've got a couple to choose from. The likes of Atlantique will be certainly in the pecking order. Maybe reading Tommy wrong. If Ballyburn does run in the Supreme, what do you think of your chances of winning this race potentially with Atlantique 4-1, with Ladbrokes reading Tommy wrong 13-2? Bill Ricky Dickey is in there as well at 10-1. How are you seeing the race with Ballyburn if he does go to the Supreme?
Yeah, sure. I suppose we spoke about him. I think I've a lot of respect for Slade Steele, probably in both races, and we didn't probably touch on it as much in the Supreme. But I love Atlantique. I think he won his race in Naas, and we got robbed by Darrell late on. So reading Tommy wrong started off in a 2 mile maiden that was 2.5, and you know he's learning on the job. He's probably also a candidate for the 3 mile race, but you know this can turn into this can be a competitive race, and he could pick up plenty there, and he'll have learned plenty and improved from the race in Naas. But yeah, Atlantique's been beaten when he's looked like he's going to win a few times. Albeit we were robbed in Naas, I actually came out of it with a lot of respect for my horse. He quickened.
Did he battle?
He did. He didn't lie down, and he actually quickened a little bit more than I expected him to. I thought after riding him in very heavy ground in Gorn that he's just a big, long striding horse. Obviously early in the race things were messy. The horse in front didn't jump the first couple of hurdles, and I ended up in front, which I thought grand. But I was there to be shot at. Everyone had a go at me, and I was robbed late on. But he did, you know, he didn't fold at the back of the last. He put his head down and pulled out more than I thought he would. So yeah, I like him a lot.
If I were to say to you, your ride would be Ballyburn in the Supreme, Atlantique in the Bearing Bingham, and reading Tommy wrong in the Albert Bartlett, how happy would you be?
I think everyone would be happy to have them. Wouldn't they? You
Very
know?
diplomatic.
Would Margot Robbie be happy?
Margot Robbie's always happy. She's
Where's
Margot
she
Robbie.
fitting then?
You're a fan of Atlantique. That's what I've got from that synopsis.
I am a fan of him. But you can only forgive horses so many times, and he has looked like he's going to win a lot of bumpers and in Naas, and he's gotten beaten. So, you know, is he banker material? Definitely not, but he'll run a big race.
My final question to you is a tricky one, so be prepared. Brace yourself.
I didn't realise we had the easy one.
Does Ballyburn have less to do in the Bearing Bingham to win this than he would have in the Supreme to win that? Is this an easier race for Ballyburn than the Supreme?
Is it? You tell me.
He's going to answer, is he? He's going to answer.
Mystical Power, Slade Steele. You know, they're the only one that's missing is Tully Hill. So is it any easier? Probably not.
Okay, so it's a 50-50 call, really.
Yeah, and as I said, I think I hope he can win either race.
Okay, did my best for you. Dan Skelton, you think if Ballyburn runs here, he's a bigger certainty than he is in the Supreme?
Yeah.
Why?
Because these horses, I think the Slade Steele and Mystical Power could run on the first day, and I think Slade Steele will be avoiding Ballyburn because they know they've got 7 minutes fine, so they'll just go wherever he doesn't. Mystical Power looks to me like it wants 2 miles, so I think that'll go there. Atlantique, I think, is not. He's just not reliable enough. No, I think if Willie's going to win this race, if he was reading Tommy wrong, I think if Harry Fry thinks it's soft enough to run Gidley Park, he could nearly beat all of them.
Yeah, he has an engine, doesn't he?
He does, but I think they're favouring the 3 mile. I can see why. Put it this way, if this race was on the Thursday track, there'd be no doubt Gidley Park would be running in this. I think they're more concerned about the track than the trip, really, because it is a bit tighter. But listen, I'd love to be in Willie's position one day, but I'd be feeling like Ballyburn will, Ballyburn's got this at his feet, and maybe Mystical Power and the other horse can sew up the first day, but you wouldn't. I'm not close enough to guess on Willie, and the man that's even closer can't guess him, so there's no point in me having a go.
Nicola, of the others in this race, have you seen support even at each way prices for anything? The likes of Il Atlantique obviously is 4-1 now. Anything that you've seen a little bit of support?
Nothing major, this race in the Supreme, as I said, quite tricky for punters to try and work out. The vibes now are suggesting, the betting wise, that Ballyburn will go to the Supreme, which probably makes this a bit of a weakish renewal. And I think in a world where Ballyburn does run in the Supreme, then Slade Steel will be hard to look past. It's currently 3-1. I just think, he looks like he's come on really well. He beat Lecky Watson in December, and I think he can improve again. So I think Slade Steel will be the one to be with, and as you said, they'll want to oppose each other. So that'll probably be where Slade Steel ends up.
Yeah, and even Henry de Bromhead has said it. He goes, we're waiting to see what Ballyburn does before making a decision with Slade Steel. And if Ballyburn doesn't show up, Slade Steel is likely to go off favourite, Mark Boylan. But will Slade Steel win?
He's really solid, but I just feel the X factor is Il Atlantique. Like, I think reading Tommy wrong, albeit there's a little gap in the prices, reading Tommy wrong with 16-1 to win the dollars and ace. I don't get the impression that they would have had him in the same category as
still unbeaten though.
He's still unbeaten, yeah. Il Atlantique, I suppose, as you pointed out, did he battle? I think he actually did try it last time, but he's been beaten at 101, 1.64 and 1.11. I don't love rolling behind those type of horses. I just think though, maybe a little bit more patient. I don't think he's a slow horse. I think this trip, if he can show a gear over it, I think he is potentially the classy horse here. That could be an Imperial Pass type from last season. I just don't see reading Tommy wrong having that kind of sexiness about him. But if Ballyburn runs, he wins. But otherwise, I'd be at Atlantique.
Okay, Dan Skelton, who wins the Bearing Bingham then to sum up?
Ballyburn.
Nicola McGeady.
Slade Steel. Ballyburn won't show up.
Mark Boylan.
Sure, if Ballyburn runs, he wins, but Il Atlantique if not.
And Paul Townend.
Ballyburn if he turns up.
And if he doesn't?
Something else.
Does it begin with an I? Potentially, I think it's Il Atlantique for Paul Townend in the Bearing Bingham Novices Hurdle, the opener on Wednesday. Moving on to the 210 on Wednesday, and it is the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. And Fact to File is currently our 5-6 favourite. This is where he's going. Decision has been made by Willie Mullins. Fact to File is running here. He's 2 from 2 over fences. He didn't run over hurdles, but he's proven himself to be an exceptional chaser. Stay Away Faye, who's got that proven form against older horses, 3-1. Grey Dawning, trained by the man to my left. Dan Skelton is 9-2. Monty Star 9-2. Embassy Garden 6-1. Gaelic Warrior 10-1, and it is 14-1 bar. So you're Willie Mullins now for a little while. You have a big decision to make. It's a nice decision for any trainer to be in, to have a horse good enough to be able to decide between races. But at the same time, it's not a nice problem.
No, with him, he's very, very good. Like, he's as good a novice chase as we've ever had, and I hope he can have a proper career at this and win some big prizes. He hasn't taken us by surprise how good he's become. I think his run at Warwick was exceptional. He did stay very well that day, but in fairness, he'd have won over a short trip at Warwick Cheltenham the day before, when he literally mashed 2 out. Which is why we're considering the Turners so much, because that was the track, that was the trip that you run the Turners over. He was giving weight to the Ginny's Destiny, who is now favourite for the Turners. If you do the maths, you come out with an acceptable conclusion. So the ground is probably the biggest indicator here. We won't be making any decisions till Monday morning. But if it was really soft, then I could see the Turners becoming a favoured option. Not least of all because I think that the top 2 in the betting in this race, being honest, the top 2 in betting in this race have achieved more than the top ones in the Turner, and that's not taking away anything from those horses. That's just how I read it. I might be wrong, but yeah, I'm just very happy to have this horse, and I think if he turned up in this race, I wouldn't be thinking he couldn't beat them. I'd be thinking it'd be harder, but I wouldn't be thinking he couldn't beat them.
It takes a very good horse to recover from the mistake he made 2 out against Ginny's Destiny and still come back, and another 50 yards he's in front. Like, that's a sign of a real good horse.
And he was giving him weight that day. You know, I know I'm persuading myself with all these comments, but you know, I have no doubt. He'd have won that day.
Okay. I think I know the way you're thinking.
You do know the way I'm thinking, but
Yeah.
the ground's got to be right.
Okay.
It is coming down to the ground. If he was good to soft, he'd have to run here.
Okay, there we go. That is Grey Dawning, and the very best of luck wherever he runs, because I think he's a cracking horse. Grey Dawning. Nicola McGeady, fact to file again from the Willie Mullen stable, is going to be the banker for many people on Wednesday. Is he one of these favourites that's going to be in all your multiples with Ladbrokes, or is he vulnerable, do you think?
I think he will, and it actually depends, I think, on Grey Dawning as well. Grey Dawning's been one of the horses I've seen the most come through on the emails as a market mover for both races, actually, but fact file really cemented his position at the head of the market 5-6 after beating Gaelic Warrior at the Dublin Racing Festival. Although you take into consideration Gaelic Warrior wasn't at his best, but I think he's strongly fancied here, and he looks like one of the more solid favourites of the week. You can't find too many faults with him. Stay Away Faye, of course, won the Albert Bartlett, is next in the betting there at 3-1. But just we haven't seen a huge amount of interest in Stay Away Faye. That's just the way it is. People who are looking at bigger prices, I think you have to look at Broadway Boy. He had excuses at Warwick and he had some tough runs before that, and I think he looks like the type that would really suit this race, and he's a 16-1 shot.
Wow, you plucked that one out of the air.
I'm giving all the big prizes. They're up napping 1 to 2 shots. I'm here putting my neck on the line.
Price-wise job could be under pressure. Top Seagull, if you're watching, we have Nicola McGeady, 16-1 Broadway Boy. Mark Boylan, if they all ran, it would be some race. Now, we know they're not all going to run, but it could be a fascinating clash between Fact to File and Stay Away Faye, couldn't it?
I think they could all turn up on Fact to File soon. For me, this is bet of the week. Can't see him getting beaten. Last season, it was funny. We go to these Cheltenham press mornings. I don't even know if this horse got a mention before the champion bumper last season from Willie. But he absolutely adores him. You get that impression with him sometimes. Just when he speaks near to you, he goes quiet. He doesn't get as rowdy about him. He loves his horse, and I look at Zana here gone out and won his maiden or his beginner's chase since. Manila Cocooner's done the same. I'm not getting carried away with the bear form, but he just has such a swagger. He's a gorgeous horse. His run last season in the champion bumper for a horse with such little experience, I thought it was a massive effort against the Dream to Share. Everton in the champion bumper, bar one, I think I'm correct in saying, has come out and won this season again. There's substance to that, and for all the Gaelic Warrior did fold last time, I thought this guy, once he got a stranglehold on the race, there was no chance. It was lights out from there. I adore this horse. If I was ever of the right weight and of ability, and if I had to pick one to ride all week, it'd be Fact to File, and thank God for connections, I am not able to do that. But 5-6, I think you can stick him in any multiple you want.
Okay. Mark Boylan has just divulged his best bet of the week. It is Fact to File in the Brown Advisory Novice Chase. How sick are you, Paul Townend, that he's wearing that jersey?
Not half as sick after listening to Dan. I'd nearly like to write Dan's after he's convinced. No, if you were to ask me which one at the festival I'd like to ride that I wasn't riding, it'd be him. I've actually sat in him a couple of times at home, and he's
don't
just.
tell Mark what.
Why would they do that to you?
I know.
It's cruel.
Here's what you could have won. It's like bullseye.
Not sure who was doing the board that morning, but I was obviously after upsetting them. But no, he feels the real deal. He looks the real deal. With him going here, I suppose, his Embassy Garden would be my first preference here, but he'll probably be Patrick, probably rob him.
It's you against Patrick in an argument.
So Gaelic Warriors in here. I think we would have him penciled down for another race earlier, had we? So yeah, Dan, if you're looking for a jockey, if Harry's having an off day or something,
there is there a chance here that you mightn't actually have a ride in this race?
Possibly. We've plenty of entries. Nick Rocket, don't know what Meeting of the Waters is doing. Manila Cocooner's in the handicap. Facile Vega, it's Willie Mullins, could turn up here. So, yeah, I don't know. But there's the Fact to File is the stable first choice in that, that's for sure.
Very quickly, on that race at the Dublin Racing Festival, the Ladbrokes Novice Chase, of course. Were you, Mark, talking during the race? Did you know from a long way out?
We were going too fast to talk.
Yeah. Because it's funny, I actually spoke to Ruby Walsh about this. He said, he was a talker during a race. Davy Russell was a talker. He says you're not a talker during a race. which I thought was very interesting because you just
Did it surprise you?
not really, no. Just thought it was interesting.
Do you think Mark Walsh should be a talker during the race?
No, I'd say there was just silence. I'd say during that race. Did you know very early on that you were beaten on Gaelic Warrior?
Not very early on, no. But we went into the back straight doing a million, and I knew when I missed one down the back straight, Mark's doing an absolute half speed alongside me. I was going nowhere at that stage. So yeah, I ran my race early. Mark took it off the baton and headed away into the distance.
Okay, so if you could ride any horse that you're not riding, it would be this guy at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I'd love to ride him. Yeah.
Fact to file for Paul Townend. It's Mark Boylan's bet of the week. Fact to file, Nicola McGeady has plucked Broadway Boy at 16-1, and Dan could run Grey Dawning here, but if Grey Dawning doesn't run here, who wins, Dan?
Fact to file.
Fact to file. Okay, there you go. That's the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. It is the 2:10 on Wednesday. Very quickly, Dan, the Coral Cup. Langer Dan here is 8-1 at the moment. He's a horse that people absolutely adore because they think you're an absolute genius. And you train him for one race and one race only every year. It's at the Cheltenham Festival. You bumped into Gallop in the Champs once upon a time. But he knows how to win on the big day. And when he's right, he's a very good horse.
I was going to say I wasn't too much of a genius when Gallop in the Champs turned up against him, and I certainly hope that Sama Jest isn't in the same vein because we are open to a horse that's just better than us. You see here, look, he's getting up late in last year's Coral Cup, and he only wins by a little bit. He's been a nightmare to train all winter. Like I said earlier at the start of the show, we gastroscoped him because he ran so badly in the race at Kempton, and he had ulcers. We've had a few that have had them and needed to sort them out. So
there you are.
There we go.
Well done, bruv.
We not messing around. Like obviously we know he peaks in the spring, so we are training him for the spring. But at the same time, he's running so badly in the winter. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we want him to run that badly. I remember 2 years ago, he's running that bad.
Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago we tried to sort of step him up in grade and send him into conditions races. And when there was like 4 horses around him, he wouldn't even compete. Like Harry said, he wouldn't even pick up the bridle. There was nothing around him. He wouldn't even go. We worked him, 4 weeks ago, and you couldn't find one that worked worse. It went absolutely awful. I have to say, the last few weeks, he's just starting to do a bit more like it. We're working on the grass this weekend. But even 4 weeks ago, he couldn't get up the hill properly twice. So all of this, they're all messing around and doing all this and doing all that. I'm afraid that, a little bit like Favour, some of these horses, they kind of run how they want.
Okay, well, we all think you're a genius, but maybe there's more to it.
Put me down as a genius if he wins, but if he doesn't, then I'm warning you. There's a long way to go to do that again, let me tell you.
So he's 8-1 at the minute to do back-to-back Coral Cups. Would you be advising Ladbrokes punters to back him at 8-1?
It's a shocking price, awful price.
On his work 4 weeks ago, but on his work this week, maybe it's not a bad price.
I'll update you next week and let you know how next week goes.
We get a minute-by-minute update from Dan on Langer Dan. That is the Coral Cup. It's a 2:50 on Wednesday, and it's 40 minutes before the big one. It is the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and it is the rematch between El Fabiolo and John Bond. 4-9 El Fabiolo, 11-4 John Bond. Edward Stone has come back into the mix after the game Spurs at Newbury. He's a 7-1 shot, and he could change the tactics in this race, Mark Boylan, because we saw a different Edward Stone at Newbury, completely different Edward Stone. We are likely to see the same again. Is it a 2-horse race? Is it a 1-horse race? Or is it a 3-horse race with Edward Stone?
Do you know what? There's a part of me that thinks Edward Stone could show up, but it's not a part of me I like. I think a 10-year-old like him, I'm disappointed if El Fabiolo and John Bond aren't above him. John Bond, it was an unbelievable effort last time in the circumstances.
Was it?
To take home a fence like he tried to be 3 wide around the track like that, to go from sitting 3 lengths off them turning in to jumping the second last in front, I thought an awful lot.
He was running against me and you, really, like.
Oh, geez, Dave, I don't know. I think so much went wrong. And I think as well, you see sometimes when Grade 1 race or top races are delayed and when a trainer's been working towards a target, the goalpost move, Nicky said himself to try and keep the lid on him, he can be a little bit buzzy at times. During that week when we had the delayed Clarence House, it wasn't easy. You seen Reid and Tommy Wrong winning at Alders that was delayed, that could be perceived as a shock for some, and other horses disappointing. I'd be kind of forgiven in that sense. I think the gap at the price is wrong. I think 11-4 is underestimating John Bond. If that was the sort of shape as it was betting without, I'd nearly rather back John Bond betting without than I would El Fabiolo to win.
Okay, you getting scared listening to that?
No. I thought he was very hard on James Bourne. I thought James was on the right part of the track, 3 wide. Maybe he should have been 4 wide on the day over there. So
There's not much margin for error, that's all, you know.
no, look, he was a shock to get beaten, I suppose, watching it. But, you know, if he'd actually jumped the last, he'd have probably won. So I've been beaten on enough short-priced ones to know they can get beaten. But at least he was there, didn't fall out the back of the screen after the mistake. Would I swap El Fabiolo? No, I think he's a tank. He's a strong
Bull, isn't he?
Yeah, and you ride him down to the fence now, and he can be a bull sometimes as well. But there was nothing between them in the novice hurdle season. We got the better of him in the Arkle last year, and I love the way El Fabiolo is going and improving, and you know, he's physically a monster.
Do you think he is a different horse now to the one you rode in the Arkle last year?
More mature, and stronger mentally and physically, more mature. Speaking to a few lads that rode with Edwardstone the last day, just to see, because visually, obviously, it was quite taking.
I like this. You're doing your homework.
To see if they got away, if he just got away or whatever. Look, the horses were probably inferior to him behind, but they thought he went a fair gallop instead of a good standard. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. El Fabiolo 4-9 with Ladbrokes, Nicola McGeady. He just wins, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's by far the more superior horse. We've seen that when he easily beat John Bon in the Arkle last year. That's representing the price. He's going to be, you know, one of the main horses on the Akkes at 4-9. Can't really make a case for the others. You know, obviously betting without John Bon would be odds on, but it really looks a 2-horse race. Edwardstone grabbed attention when he won by that huge 40-length victory at Newbury. That performance put him in the mix, and he was in quite a losing streak before that, so I really can't see Edwardstone causing too much of a headache for the front two in the betting. Okay, Dan, you almost won a champion chase. With a bit more luck, Nube Negra would have got the job done. Sorry for bringing up past memories. So unlucky. But this year's race, it's going to be fascinating tactically, isn't it, between El Fabiolo and John Bon and Edwardstone now?
Well, I think the front three make a really, really interesting tactical affair here. I know over 2 miles, how tactical can you make it? You know, it's 2 miles. You've got to get on with life. You know what I mean? The race goes forward, but Edwardstone will make the run in. John Bon will be right up there, and El Fabiolo, I'm afraid, will not be able to give them any rope. So I think El Fabiolo is too short. I think he's very much the most likely winner, but I think he's way, way, way too short. And I think at the prices, I'd have a little nibble on old Edwardstone here.
Would you? So El Fabiolo's 4-9. He's a shorter price than Lossiemouth. Do you think there's no comparison between the chance of Lossiemouth and El Fabiolo?
No comparison. Yeah, Lossiemouth is by far and away a bigger certainty than El Fabiolo. Now El Fabiolo's confirmed last year with the Arkle, the John Bon form and everything else. And it's most likely to be confirmed. But Edwardstone was going that real strong gallop. El Fabiolo being a bit bullish, maybe rubbing a couple early on. John Bon not the most smooth round last time. You know, I'm not saying there's chinks in their armour. You know what I mean? Because they're the top flight horses. But it's I just don't see it as a 4-9 shot.
Okay, we have a lukewarm panel on El Fabiolo. 2 votes from Nicola and Paul, of course. Mark is thinking that John Bon may be a little bit of value against El Fabiolo, and certainly in the betting without market. And Dan has given a shout out to Edwardstone. Cracking card on Wednesday. I think it's almost Tuesday and Wednesday are my 2 favourite cards of the week. I'm going to just ask you about a couple, Paul Townend. In the Coral Cup, the big buzz horse is Sam Majet from the Willie Mullen stable. I was at the media morning, and when this horse popped up in the conversation, Willie's tone changed a little bit. I'd have to say, oh God, I was hoping nobody had asked me about him. Do you know, I know he's obviously in green and gold at JP McManus. Do you know much about the horse, and do you think he has the potential to be a very good horse?
I think he can. I haven't ridden him a whole lot. When Mark got injured, was it at Punchestown last year, and he came up spare. I wanted to get
that
on
went well?
I didn't get on him.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay.
They already had Brian Hayes, I think it was, on him,
okay.
and he disappointed, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, but no, what he done in Limerick was good. It's a handicap hurdle. Has I don't know. I treat the handicaps. They're lotteries over there. You need so much to go right for you. You run them every week, you probably get a different result, a different trip around people are going to get. But yeah, no, I've seen him. They talk about him in there. I'd like to ride him. Obviously, he's a favourite.
Have you any idea whatsoever in this earthly world what you might be riding in the champion bumper?
No.
Sounds like you won't find out until declaration time.
And
who would you like to ride?
And a little after that, because Patrick will have the pick as well.
Okay. So Patrick has the pick, okay? You state the case for the horse that you would like to ride most, if you can.
I can't answer it. God's honest truth, can't answer it. I have to buy Patrick a few dinners between now and then and find out what his pecking order is, and see after that.
You've come in for some nice spares. Fairly Hollow springs to mind.
Yeah, and then I got to pick the wrong one, obviously, with Appreciated and Sir Gerard. But yeah, look, I rode Redemption Day and he nearly booked me off on the way to the start over there and pulled up. So I've had mixed feelings with the bumper.
Okay, Mark Boylan, the other races that we haven't covered in depth, any strong fancies in those on Wednesday?
I'll stick with the bumper. I think You Ought to Know is one that I think he should be shorter. Big run at the Dublin Racing Festival. The winner from that bumper, Jeroboam Bashan, he's out for the season, unfortunately. But that race is a guide to the champion bumper. I think the last 5 winners of that bumper at the Dublin Racing Festival, 3 of them have won the champion bumper at Cheltenham. The other 2 were second in the champion bumper at Cheltenham. When you have the winner out, I think You Ought to Know is underestimated at 8s. I know he's won at Kilbeggan, he's gone at Galway as well. He's come the long road, but I think he's a smart horse. Maybe Cantico is a little bit overpriced in the same race as well. But I thought You Ought to Know for Willie. If this man was on board, I wouldn't be too upset.
He could be on board, you never know. You never know. Dan, the rest of the races on Wednesday, are you likely to be represented?
Yeah, we'll have a couple in the Grand Annual. We will run Unexpected Party and Calico and possibly Fred Arm if he got him.
Unexpected Party in the Grand Annual, interesting. Can you tell us more?
Well, he doesn't stay 2.5 around there, unfortunately. We've tried a number of times and it's just not happening. So drop back to 2 is much more like it. He's plenty of experience under his belt. The race will suit him. The race will definitely suit Calico.
Yeah.
He could just do the
he
drive.
He loves the hustle and bustle of those big
He does.
handicaps.
He's been giving away weight all year. And it'd just be nice to see him get some weight. I'd be very happy to see that. And then we shall probably run Royal Infantry in the bumper, who won the listed bumper at Newbury. Thought that was a very good performance.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, he stays well and relaxes through the race. He'd be the right type anyway. He'd cope with what's going to happen in that race.
Have you had many runners in the bumper before?
I have. We've been 3rd twice, which is not too bad for an English trainer, I don't think.
3rd time lucky he was bang there, was he?
3rd time lucky he was 3rd.
But you're going to say 3rd time lucky this year.
LA Bell was 3rd.
Yeah.
She was a good mare. She was a very good mare.
Okay, interesting. Best of luck with those. Nicola, anything else you like on Wednesday?
I think Manila Indo is going to be really popular in the cross country. Now the 2-1 favourite. Obviously got a taste for this type of race here in December and just relished it and has got a great record, as we know, at the track, former Gold Cup winner. So I think that's going to be one of the popular ones. Okay,
it's best bets on Wednesday time. Dan Skelton.
Best bet on Wednesday of ours could be Calico in the Grand Annual.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to mention one that's not mine, so I'll just stick with that.
Okay, interesting. Could be a tricky decision for Harry, that, could it, in the race?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, okay. Well, Dan fancies Calico, Harry. Nicola, best bet on Wednesday.
Hang on, let me pull something out of the bag again. I have
what
another
you're
big
gonna
price one. I'm going to go with Dodie the Great in the Coral Cup. That's such a tough race anyway, so there's nothing in this mug, I can tell you. But I just thought at 10-1, finished well in the Betfair Hurdle. Trip will suit the yard, like him a lot, and he kind of caught my eye.
Okay, Mark Boylan, the Wednesday wager is?
I think giving it away, but my ears are pricked listening to Dan giving a handicap shout. Did any trainer have more than one handicap winner at Cheltenham last year than him? I'd definitely be taking note of that. But Factifile wins the Brown Advisory.
He'd win anything by the sound of things. Mark, listening to you, best bet on Wednesday?
It would be Ballyburn if he's there. If not, I look forward to riding El Fabiolo. Yeah.
Okay, El Fabiolo in the Champion Chase. And I'll give a shout out to Jalan Dudaris in the bumper. Gordon Elliott has a strong enough hand. He's got Romeo Coolio, he's got the Yellow Clay, but I just think Jalan Dudaris has been there, he's done it. He's beaten Redemption Day, who was such a good bumper horse last season, and I think that's strong form. So Jalan Dudaris for me in the Weatherby's Champion Bumper, and that is day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival done and dusted. So, folks, we're well up and running now. That is the first 2 days of the Cheltenham Festival covered. We're halfway there. Well done, Paul. A few great days for you. And well done, Dan. You're amongst the winners already. Moving on to Thursday, and this could be Dan Skelton's best chance of a Cheltenham Festival winner this year, although he has plenty of them. Factophile, who is going for the Brown Advisory, is currently 6-4 favourite with Ladbrokes. Ginny's Destiny 5-2. Grey Dawning 5-2 as well. 4-1 Gaelic Warrior, 9-2 Facile Vega, 5-1 Iroko, who is back and on course for the race. Ilete Tom 7-1, and Found 50 is 8-1. So we have a video of Ginny's Destiny here, Dan, that we're going to play to viewers, or of Grey Dawning, I should say, which we're going to play to viewers. We've spoken about her a little bit ahead of the Brown Advisory, but if I was Dan Skelton, and I wish I was, I would be running Grey Dawning in the Turner's Novice Chase, because I think that is the race for him. I think Grey Dawning will win the Turners. Can you do anything to put me off?
No, I can't. I think if it's soft enough, I think it's, I wouldn't say it's becoming more and more likely, but it's always been likely that if it was soft enough, we could go for the race. He quickens up nicely there, hits top gear, and he opens up well. Goes left a little late when he's by himself, but Harry won't be making the run in, that's for sure. So I thought it was a good performance. He gave a lot of weight to the second, and the third is no mug for sure. So I'm not, like I say, I don't want to get carried away and say this is definitely where we're going, but looking at the forecast, it looks like it could be soft enough to run the Thursday.
You've said already that he's probably the best novice chaser you've had. What makes him so good?
He relaxes is the main thing. He relaxes. He jumps well. You can ride him forward at a jump without expecting him to land and sort of run away. You can ride him into a jump and he'll land and wait for you for the next instruction. He's a good horse to train. He doesn't carry excess flesh. He just, some of them have just got it. He's just got it. Okay, and you've obviously bumped into Ginny's Destiny already. You've been beaten by Ginny's Destiny, but there's an asterisk next to that, because I think you would have beaten Ginny's Destiny apart from that mistake at the second last. How do you feel going into that rematch if you do run in this race? Very confident.
Okay,
yeah,
I
wouldn't have too many issues based on what I saw, giving him weight.
Okay, excellent. That is Grey Dawning, currently a 5-2 shot with Ladbrokes. Nicola, where is the money being played into here?
I mean, this is a race that could cut right up as well. If Factophile comes here, then you would expect him to win. I'd have to oppose Gaelic Warrior as well, just because of, doesn't particularly like it here. Ginny's Destiny will probably be favourite and looks interesting, but I wouldn't be racing to back this horse either off the back of what it's achieved so far and what we've seen. Grey Dawning is probably the one for me. Just sitting beside and listening to Dan as well kind of gets you more and more confident, and had it not been that mistake, probably would have beaten Ginny's Destiny, I think. I think Iroko seems quite short on what he's achieved so far, actually. We've just seen him once over fences. So, yeah, I think out of all of them, Grey Dawning if he shows up.
Oh, there we go. The Grey Dawning bandwagon
and I should
is
mention
rolling.
Facile Vega as well, actually.
We'll
Another
come to him in a
interesting
minute,
one. But
yeah, we'll find out more about Facile Vega in a moment. Mark, I'm keen on Grey Dawning. Dan is keen on Grey Dawning. Are you keen on Grey Dawning?
Must have no chance because I fancy him as well.
Oh, here we go.
I think he just makes sense. And I think horses with stamina in this race, you go back through the years, the Black Hercules, Chantry House, those are horses that are all effective over further as well. I really like having that up your sleeve in a race like this. There's loads of positives. If the only thing at a price, I think there's one horse who's very overpriced here. Zana here shouldn't be 25-1. He's second in 4 Grade 1s. I think he's placed in 2 or 3 more. If you look at these horses we're going through the list, how many of them were as good as him over hurdles? Now he's gone chasing a little later in life, but I liked his closing effort at Thurles last time over fences. And behind Factophile wasn't as great, couldn't do any more than that. I just thought 25-1. It's a massive price when you think of the relative abilities of Ginny's Destiny and Zana here potentially. I wouldn't have thought they're a million miles off. One is 5-2 and the other's 25-1. Gordon Elliott, we heard his press morning earlier this week, he's nominated that as his likely target. I just thought that was value.
I don't know the answer to this question. I presume you have. Have you won this race before? I know you almost did.
I don't think I have.
Well, Gallop in the Champs obviously won a one. You were
on
on Faheen. Yeah. Appreciated last year.
You weren't on Mellon, were you?
No,
Patrick.
Patrick's on him.
Didn't win anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Crow beat him. Yeah, so you might be out to break your duck here. And the question is, what are you going to be trying to break your duck on?
I don't know.
It looks like Facile Vega. That's, from what I'm hearing, it looks like Facile Vega is going to win this race.
Facile Vega is settling a hell of a lot better than he ever did. Now, he got fairly worked up in the parade ring again in Leopardstown, but by the time we got out down to the start and jumped off, we didn't go overly quick for 2 mile chase, and I had no problem staying behind Jack. So he is settling a bit better. Settled well in the Supreme last year too, until I decided to kick on him. And but if the ground is soft, and this track does take a bit of staying. So you've Gaelic Warrior then, who, as we referred to earlier, has stayed 3 miles. Been beaten on the other course a couple of times. So do you try him on the bigger loop and see what happens? Unfortunately, it's Willie's going to have that headache and make the decision. But
he's never ran on the new course before, Gaelic Warrior.
No, so do you try it? I don't know. It's probably interesting that Willie ran him in the longer distance at Dublin Racing Festival as well. But it is Willie Mullins, so that probably means he's going to run him in the 2 miles.
It is Willie Land, and Gaelic Warrior at the moment is 4-1 with Ladbrokes. Paul doesn't know who he's going to be riding yet, but we're all on the grey dawning bandwagon, and we're hoping he can do the business. For Dan Skelton at currently 5-2 with Ladbrokes. Moving on to the Ryanair Chase. Big day for you on Thursday, Dan. We have got Protectorat here, who's not in the betting, so it's obviously 12-1 bar. El Fabiolo obviously won't be showing up here. So Banbridge is your 5-2 favourite. Fastest though goes for the Gold Cup. Enva Elen, last year's winner, is 4-1. Stage Star, winner of the Turners last year, is 4-1. Conflate at 7-1. Capadano 8-1. 10-1 Fildor and 12-1 bar. Protectorat, Dan, is he likely to run here?
Yeah, he's going to run here.
What are you thinking?
I'm looking forward to it. He's obviously not hitting the Gold Cup markers. His numbers are falling way short of the Gold Cup standard. We've had a go in that race, finished 3rd and 5th, ran very well. He's kept his form very well this year, I think. I think we could have been 2nd the other day had we not sort of been the one to sort of try to beat Shishkin all the way. I just think, well, why not have a go at it? He's raced round the track before. He's won round the track before. I think this race is cut up. El Fabiolo is not going to be there. Fast or Slow is not going to go there. Do we know if Conflated runs in the cross country?
Runs here.
Capadano, do we know if that runs?
I think he's going to run here.
Is he? Yeah, that's a shame. They shouldn't. But it doesn't really bother me who runs, to be honest with you, because we're not like the shortest price and the most likely winner and all that type of thing. But we'll go out there. We will get into a good rhythm. And you can ride him aggressively over this trip. He's a previous dual grade 1.
I was going to say he's a proven grade 1 performer.
Exactly. So nothing really worries me here. There's nothing with that unbelievably high rating that we can't beat that or we can't beat that. I think on our day we could probably beat any of these. On their day they can probably beat us. So it's very open. Okay,
that is Protectorat. You rode Capadano, who is currently an 8-1 shot with Ladbrokes when he won the Cotswold Chase. Great ride. What kind of a feel did he give you that day?
Brilliant, yeah. I hadn't ridden him before. Jumped well, travelled well. Bypassing second last probably didn't help me, but no, he's a solid horse, and they've got to train him this year. He's very interrupted career probably up to that, and I thought as a novice he was very good, and he looked back to himself here. Yeah.
Did he feel that day as though he had enough pace for 2.5 miles?
I didn't think we hung around. We went quick and steady and then raced again. And to be honest, I was in my comfort zone in most stages, yeah. So would he have the pace to follow an Aloho or a real competitive Ryanair? Maybe not, but it doesn't look that strength and depth to this year, does it?
Mark, Banbridge is 5-2 at the moment, likely to go off favourite, especially if the ground is good. He's very ground dependent. Are you a Banbridge fan?
I like the horse, but I'd be very eager to take him on. I think, last year I can't get it out of my head how close Saint Roy and Visionarian are to Banbridge when he's getting conditions he's supposed to like. Saint Roy has been beaten in handicaps this season. I just think he's a very, very small price for the factors you have to go and just believe that he is an outright grade 1 horse in open company. I'd like him to go and prove it to me before I back him at 5-2. I'd much rather take a flyer on something like Capadano at 8, but I think Fildor could be a little bit overlooked, 10-1, has butted heads with El Fabiolo and with Dino Blue, two who are going to be odds on for Cheltenham. This looks a substandard race compared to a champion chase for all that there's depth to it. Envoy Allen is the one that he said one result last season that made me scratch my head. I couldn't have fancied Envoy Allen going there, but the market screamed that he was the one you wanted to be on, and that's a theme with his career. When the market is strong on Envoy Allen, he tends to run accordingly, and when it's weak, it goes the opposite way.
He's won 3 Cheltenham festivals.
You know what, and for a horse that a lot of people knock, he's a CV that half the horses in the population would never ever be able to dream of. So, but I just thought at the prices, I'd rather be thinking Capadano at 8s, Fildor at 10s. I could see Protector App in place for sure, but Banbridge, he just looks the wrong price.
Okay, so Mark is taking on Banbridge. Nicola, are you?
Yes, we are. I think this is a race that we'd look to bet pretty competitively on. If you look at the front view, Stage Star, Banbridge, Envoy Allen, they all have their flaws and their limitations. So this is a race, there's some decent runners at bigger prices. So it's a race we'll be hoping we can get a result on. Stage Star obviously flopped last time out, but if you look at his run before that in the Gold Cup, he'd probably be shorter. I know Harry Cobb's put him up as his best ride of the week. Listen, Banbridge was very impressive the last day. He runs well in England and is probably the most likely winner here. But looking further down the field, the likes of Fugitive at a bigger price, course and distance winner, 16-1. I think I'll be looking having a kind of bigger each way bet here.
Nicola, you were up late last night doing homework.
I was indeed.
You were.
I was
There you
swatting.
go. When the kids were in bed, you were studying form. 16-1 Fugitive, of course, a winner at the course as well. So Dan, you're hoping Protector will win the Ryanair?
I'm hoping.
Fugitive at a big price for Nicola. You're with
Fildor,
Capadano
let's
and
have a go.
Fildor.
Fildor if you push me, yeah.
And if you could ride anything in the race, who would you ride? From your stable or not from your stable?
If you offered me one, I'd like to ride Banbridge.
Okay, Banbridge. For Paul Townend, the feature race on Thursday is the Stayers Hurdle. It is the Staying Hurdle showpiece. And Tihupu is 3-1 favourite with Ladbrokes. Irish Point, who has the option of slotting into the Champion Hurdle on day 1 over a mile shorter, is 7-2. Crambo for Fergal O'Brien, chasing his first Cheltenham Festival winner. Fergal is at 6-1. Monkfish 10-1, likely to go for the Gold Cup. Noble Yates 10-1, Grand National winner. Sir Gerhard 10-1, Flowing Porter 12-1, and Paisley Park 16-1. Mark Boylan, this is the Gordon Elliott kind of conundrum. Does he run Tihupu and Irish Point against one another? They're both owned by Brian Atchison's Robcore operation. You had a terrific piece on his stats in the Irish field last week about how good their season has been. If you're Brian Atchison, do you run Tihupu and Irish Point against one another, and which of the two will win, if any?
I think he has the winner. I think if Constitution Hill isn't going to be there, it's a no-brainer to give Irish Point a crack at the champion and have a go at the very least. I think his likelihood of being placed in the Champion Hurdle and placed in the Stayers is very similar if there's no Constitution Hill. But I think Tihupu, how they've campaigned this horse, they know he's best fresh. They know that I thought last year this was one that got away. I thought he should have won the Stayers last year. And to win the Hatton's Grace, for all that Imperial Pass, I think this was a better version of Imperial Pass than you got to see in the next 2 occasions. I'm not convinced that he was a million miles below it. Astro Diamond has gone on and given a decent up to the form. For all that we're viewing this through the window, that Willies were improving at this time of year. I just think Tihupu, he's not over the hill like this horse. He's 7. He should be just coming into his own now. He's proven himself over 3 miles. If you can win a Galmoy in 3 miles in heavy ground, you will stay. I just like the way, it might be everyone's cup of tea that you don't only get to see a horse this quality once in the season before Cheltenham. But I think if you want to win at Cheltenham with a guy like him that like's been fresh, I think he's the obvious one. I think just look at some of the horses down below, like a lot of those British horses, your Dashel Drashers, your Paisley Parks, for all they're admirable. I'd just be disappointed if that's the level that's required to win a Stayers Hurdle. I think it needs to be better.
And it's fair to say Davy Russell probably got a few steps of his tango wrong in the race last year. Kind of wasn't his finest hour, was it? It wasn't a good Davy Russell ride in the race last year, I thought.
I tend to agree, and it's not too often you say it with Davy around Cheltenham, but there were, the ball didn't bounce his way on a few occasions last season. Rather him though than me have a go at the tango. My God, be more like total wipeout than Strictly Come Dancing.
Could you ever see yourself doing Dancing with the Stars or Strictly Come Dancing, Dan?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I
Can you
move. Yeah.
Can you get the shoulders going?
I'm different class.
Are you?
When Langer Dan wins by half the track in the car and this man's coming in, I want to see him doing the boogie come back in.
I'm now Dan's PR, and I'm telling you, in the next 10 years, we're going to see Dan in sequences on Strictly Come Dancing.
There'll
Mark
be a
my
big diet
words.
before that happens, wouldn't there? You need a lot of sequence.
Dan, what wins the Stayers Hurdle this year, do you think?
I think Tihupu is the most likely winner for all the preparations that he's going to get. He's going to go there absolutely ready for it. I think Crambo will be a formidable opponent. I feel like he is definitely the best of the English now that he's proven that he's beaten the others, and that he is the one that at his age, with his least runs under his belt compared to the others, he can progress. So I think Crambo's going to give him a bit of a problem, but Tihupu, they've trained him specifically for it. They nearly got it there last year. There's not a lot that needs to go a lot better for them to do it this year.
I agree. Nicola, you're plucking Broadway boys from the sky, fugitives. They're coming from all angles. What have you found for us here?
Not much here, actually. I think this is, of the feature races, this is the trickiest one, really. Obviously, there was the drama last year with Teapu at the Stewards' Inquiry, but he's coming back here, I think, an even stronger horse and deserves to be favourite after, you know, a cracking reappearance in the Hatton Grace Hurdle. And then, like, I know that was a while ago, but the plan was to come here fresh. And, yeah, he's got form at the track. So I do think that's the most likely winner. But there's loads you can make a case for. Irish Point's in there at 7-2 and was very good at Christmas. Crambo as well at Ascot in December. Noble Yates even ended up in the mix as well after winning the Cleeve Hurdle. So there's plenty in there that you could make a case for. Obviously, last year's winner is in there as Sire de Burley at 20-1 this time round. So not expecting another shock.
Well, he shocked us last year, and Gordon is saying he's coming into bloom again, Sire de Burley. You're likely to ride Sir Gerhard here. I can't figure out this horse. Can you?
No. If I could, I wouldn't be sitting here. I think he's overpriced. I like the way he settled the last day. He's a better horse fresh. I do think Teahupu will take in a hell of a lot of beating. I think he's a horse on the up. Albeit Sir Gerhard is an old horse with a lot of miles in him. Definitely prefers hurdling to chasing. Probably overpriced. I can see.
Does he stay?
I think he will. Yeah. I
Looked to me like he didn't stay in the Brown Advisory last year.
I think Jumping Fence was taking so much out of him.
Okay.
And I loved the way he raced more conservatively the last day. I could see them splitting up Teahupu and Irish Point if Constitution Hill isn't there. But Teahupu will take an awful lot of beating. I think Sir Gerhard will be shorter on the day.
Okay, in a word or two words, depending on who you fancy, what will win the Stairs Hurdle?
I think just Teahupu.
Nicola?
I'm going to go with Teahupu as well.
Mark?
Teahupu. I think he'll win Teahupu. Yeah.
Teahupu and Teahupu for me. It is 5-5 for Teahupu in the Stairs Hurdle. Maybe 3-1 is actually a good price, especially if Irish Point goes down the champion hurdle direction. Dan, rest of the card on Thursday. A lot of nice handicaps. You've got the plate in there. You've got the Pretemps final. What's going to be troubling the judge from the Dan Skelton stable?
I think we have a chance in the plate with one, actually. The Temps with one. Lamilos.
He's going plate.
Yeah, he won. He won obviously the Coral Trophy last year, Coral Gold Cup last year at Newbury. We had a bit of a problem with him after the Grand National. He had to have a bit of a surgery on his knee. He's coming back now. He ran okay at Ascot the last day. Step up to 3 miles is mandatory for him, and I've forgotten that he'd qualified actually until around Christmas time, and then I thought we might have to have a look at that. So
he goes for the Pretemps final?
Yeah, he's just starting to come to boil.
Wow, he could be very interesting. I presume he's a lot lower over hurdles than he is over
He
fence.
is maybe £7 or £8 lower.
Nice. Okay, Lamilos in the Pretemps final. For Dan Skelton, will you be represented in the plate?
Possibly, but I don't think we've got a shiny one in that.
Okay, Nicola, anything else for us on Thursday?
Crebley in the plate is one of the in the top 3 of the best backed horses of the entire meeting at 5-1. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, my up in the ante colleague Johnny Deneen is absolutely mad on Crebley for the plate. Mark, what else do you like on Thursday?
I think Gavin Cromwell will win the Kim Muir. You've got 2 savage chances. I know the way you're thinking in Percival Galwa. If the Kim Muir wasn't won by one of those, I'd be very, very disappointed. And in the Mares Novices Hurdle, I'm going to upset you here now because I know you're a Dice Artinas man, but
what a race this is.
You know, if in a standard year, I think any of the top 3 in the market will win it. But Brighter Days Ahead has been the apple of my eye from a long way out. She's probably the earliest anti-post bet I've ever had at Cheltenham. I would back her after she won fairness.
What price?
No, I won't be one of those people. But I absolutely have loved this filly the whole way along. And in fact, the hype is nearly making it uncomfortable at this stage, you know, because there is such chat when you hear Gordon saying this could be potentially the best they've ever had there. It's massive.
Male or female.
But for this, it doesn't represent what you've seen on the track. But she is a gorgeous filly. She's bred to be a champion. She's a half to mighty Potter, Caldwell Potter, Indiana Jones, French Dynamite. It's a hell of a pedigree. Jade de Grugy is very good, but I just think this could be a really, really special filly.
It's going to be a Cork or the Mares Novice Hurdle. Jade de Grugy, I know Brian Hayes rode her at Ferriers, but you won in her at Leopardstown. Did she give you a nice feel?
Loved her. Impressed me a lot. Impressed me a lot more on the track than she did at home, which was a pleasant surprise. Was watching her closely with Brian Roder the last day, and she done what I hoped she would. But the way Jack talks about their mare is, it's not like Jack to get excited about one.
No,
and he is. So
he's even talking quicker when he talks about her. Usually it's
He's
Slow
a fair
sentences.
judge too, you know. So you have to give him all the respect they deserve, and we have to give weight to the English mare. So I'm looking forward to riding Jade Cruzy. I like her a lot now. Yeah.
Okay, the best bets on Thursday then, Dan Skelton. Your best chance of winning on Thursday?
Well, if Grey Dawning runs in the turners, he's definitely the best bet.
Yeah, I'm with Grey Dawning as well. Nicola McGeady?
I found this the trickiest day, but I'm going to go against our traders and say Banbridge and the Ryanair.
Okay, Banbridge. Mark Boylan.
Brighter days ahead, the nap, and a bit of each values in here.
And your best ride on Thursday?
I'm light on Thursday, to be honest.
Poor Paul. Doesn't have the favourite in every race on Thursday.
Here, lads.
could be a long evening to me in my house that evening. But I think Sir Gerard will outrun his odds in the stairs.
Excellent. We're nearly there. That's 3 of the 4 days of the Cheltenham Festival covered. Stay tuned for Friday. It's a big one. It's the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. So we're nearly there. We're 3/4 of the way through. That is Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Now let's kick on with Friday. It is the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup day. It's the biggest day in the jump racing season. And as ever, on the Friday, we're going to kick off with the JCB Triumph Hurdle. And at the moment with Ladbrokes, Sergino, the British banker, is 4-6. Cargisi is 6-1. Paul will tell me how to pronounce her and whether she's going to win in a couple of minutes. Majborough 6-1, who Willie Mullins absolutely adores. Stormheart, who Paul rode at the Dublin Racing Festival, is 8-1. Liari 12-1. Salver 10-1. Salvatore Mundi 12-1 and Bunting 12-1. So Dan, we're going to come to you here first for the Triumph Hurdle. Sergino is odds on. He worked beautifully, it looked like to me, at Kempton on Tuesday. He just looks every inch a racehorse, doesn't he?
He looks very, very good. I wasn't all that impressed with him at Kempton, yeah. Stalled at the last, which juveniles can do, to be fair. You know, he did stall at the last and sort of ballooned it, but landed running and flew away. I thought there was a bit of doubt going into Cheltenham with that jump at the last. That, to me, as a horse person looking at it, just maybe I'm thinking, is he really all that slick? He did it a little bit again, but not anything like. But he's just learning as he's getting better, and it's not a kink in him at all. It's just he's learning, and he looks very, very good. Flew away from a good field. He'd be very, very hard to beat. Don't know how good the Irish are. They all seem to be in a bit of a group. I think Liari's going to run in the Fred Winter. So Salva will not be far behind this lot. This is a good horse, especially if the ground is soft. This is a good horse.
Okay, Salver at 10-1 with Ladbrokes at the moment. Dan gives a good shout out to Paul. You got it wrong at the Dublin Racing Festival. It's not too often you get it wrong. Danny came in for a nice bear. It was a good day for him. Cargisi, Majborough, Stormheart, Bunting, even Ethical Diamond. They all ran. You could make positive cases for all of them on that run. What do you make of the Cloy Sutton juveniles?
They're a headache, to be honest, because there isn't one standing out.
Yeah.
I was happy to ride Stormheart going there. Ran a funny race though. Couldn't really get him to go early on. Jumped a bit slow and then got into it, pushed wide. And Danny's Cargis had all the experience and the allowances, and Danny had the pace. He was able to get through. Still thought I'd have a crack at him. Thought my horse could improve. Is open to more improvement out of the race than Danny's. But yeah, there isn't a lot between them. Just in saying that, like I'm definitely not going to just jump onto Danny's because it beat me at Dublin. I think my horse can improve plenty, and he's probably a horse on the up. Marsburg will improve a lot for his run there, and Bunting is probably overpriced of the Irish. Stayed on nicely from off the pace there, so I think Sergino's deserved favourite. I don't like the way there isn't one of ours jumping out at me. I was beaten on Lossiemouth at the meeting last year, but I was never jumping on Gallagher, so you know. I wouldn't give up on Stormheart. I thought he ran a big race for the ride I gave him and the trip around I got. I think he can improve. Okay, keep the faith maybe with Stormheart. Mark, Sergino, banker or blowout?
I think he'd be closer to banker, but just have it in the back of my head, like the first 10 home in the Triumph last year were all Irish. I think the first, second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh in the Boodles were Irish. Like it has been a division we've been strong in. There's definitely numerical quality or quantity of strength, let's say. But he just looks a standout. I think the only one that I would be interested in is he's 12-1 is Salvatore Mundi. Hasn't run for Willie yet, but you get the impression to think a lot of him.
He won't run, will he?
he's given him a mention this week as still been as a possible. Could run him here if he ran well, come back as a novice next season. From an each way perspective, he was second to Sergino in France on his only run. I thought watching back that race, he was slow and deliberate the first couple. Everything went real smooth for Sergino. Maybe not an efficient ride potentially on Salvatore Mundi. Not saying he beat him, but at 12-1, 4-6, maybe he's your each way play in it. Majborough strikes me as a horse that if you said to Willie, which of these do you love the most? He seems to speak about him in serious terms, but I nearly think it could be that programme like Zenta last season where builds on a run at the DRF to then go to Cheltenham, run a big race, not win the Triumph but could win at Aintree. I think he's probably maybe run short of winning a grade one like this. Sergino, if he said to me going to head, I'd go for him, but Salvatore Mundi, if he did let him run here, be a fair sign and I'd be happy to take a chance each way at the price. Okay, interesting. At 12-1, Nicola Sergino looked just awesome, I thought, on trials day at Cheltenham. Just everything about him oozed quality. What did you make of him?
Yeah, absolutely agree. Banker on day one, he was really impressive. Well, punters thought so anyway at Kempton and on trials day, and he's been the best backed horse leading up to the festival.
Of the whole festival?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. Not one of the Irish ones, but Sergino. I rang the traders yesterday, told me the top 5, and he was number 1.
Wow, that's interesting. He's 4-6 at the moment. So, is there anything at bigger prices that you can give a shout out to?
I think Majborough obviously came from France straight into a grade 1, came third, and I can see Majborough possibly reversing the form with Cargis and Stormheart. Jumped really well that day, and just I think is the one outside of the favourite, but I think Sergino does look a strong banker. Okay,
there we go. So Sergino, we think, is the banker potentially in the Triumph Hurling, but Mark has given a shout out to Salvatore Mundi, and Paul Townend has not given up the faith on Stormheart, and Dan has given a shout out to Salver. Confused? Maybe it's Sergino's race, but we've got a few each way alternatives in the Triumph Hurling. Moving on to the Albert Bartlett, it is the staying test for our novice hurdlers. And High Class Hero is 6-1 favourite. Reading Tommy Wrong is 13-2. Dancing City 7-1. 8-1 Bar. Willie Mullins has the top 3 in the market for this. Paul Townend. It won't be an easy choice for you picking between those 3, I'd say.
No, it won't. Definitely won't. I love High Class Hero's way of racing, profile he has coming into the race. They've been thinking about this, I'd say, all the way through. Reminds me a little bit of the Penn Hill. Loads of runs. Getting there isn't blowing anyone away, and why he does it at the track, but won very cosily, I thought, in Thurles the last day. This has been his target. He'll go here of the novices. We know he'll go
really
here.
We have a specific target for a horse,
I think, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, reading Tommy Wrong, it could step up to 3 miles. I think he'd have no problem getting it. This track would give him a bit more time to jump and everything else, and he's a grade 1 winner. He's probably achieved more than High Class Hero at this stage. Okay,
that is the Albert Bartlett from Paul Townend's point of view. If you were Paul Townend, who would you ride, Mark?
I'd go High Class Hero as well. I reading Tommy Wrong and Dancing City, I don't think, probably as a whole, maybe as generalisation, I don't think these 3 horses are in the league of a Ballyburn that we're talking about, or even a Tully Hill. I think this is a step down below it, but I think the overall race shapes that way. I actually give Lecky Watson a shout each way. I think he's the sort of horse that you could see just staying on. Second to Slade Steele was a huge run at Navan, and I don't know if they're entirely satisfied tactically how it unfolded from the Lawlers either. He could be a price at 12s each way. If Gidley Park runs here, he's a chance, but if Paul has the pick from the top 3, I'd be saying High Class Hero, but Lecky Watson just could be overlooked in the market at 12s.
Okay, another from the Willie Mullins team, Lecky Watson at 12-1 for Mark. Nicola, this is a race you might get a result in. There's been massive price winners of this race over the years. I remember Very Wood winning at 50-1. Last year, Stay Away Faye got the job done at a big price. You could get a result here. The Christmas bonus could be coming your way.
Fingers crossed, David. But really, High Class Hero does look a worthy favourite. The trip's unknown, but at Thurles he didn't look like he was stopping, and I think the extra 2 furlongs shouldn't be an issue here. I think Captain Teague at 10-1 as well, or 12-1, isn't without a chance. Looks like a kind of Albert Bartlett horse, and I think it will improve for the step up and trip as well. Everyone's kind of giving a bigger price here. I think Crow Park shouldn't be ignored as well at 16-1. Probably be backed for the name alone, DJ, but I think this has the potential to possibly spring a surprise. I'll go each way on Crow Park.
Each way on Crow Park, of course, the home of Gaelic football in Ireland. Dan, you've been quite forceful with some of your opinions today where you've got strong fancies in races. Is there anything jumping out at you here?
I think Gidley Park's a very good horse. Yeah, I can't comment any more than the guys have about the top three. So no point me discussing them. All I can tell you is Gidley Park's very, very good. Harry Fry has trained in specifically for the Cheltenham Festival. And I think they're favouring this race. And I can see why. He's a great big rangy horse. He'd be better on this track. He'd stay 3 miles, no problem. He's loaded with talent. I think he will go very well. More so if he runs in this than the Bear in Bingham. And Captain Teague is a Grade 1 winner in his own right. Team that won it last year. He stays very well. He wasn't beat far in a champion bumper. He's got back form that suggests that he will be running well in Grade 1s for many years to come. So I don't think he should be ignored. Okay,
but you're just siding with Gidley Park?
I am, yeah. He's been very progressive and building to be progressive towards the end of the season. Basically, Harry Fry said to me he didn't want to run him in the Challow because the Challow doesn't have a great record at the Cheltenham. Like Harry's thought of everything.
Okay.
So he's really aimed for this meeting.
Okay, 8-1 with Ladbrokes at the moment for the Albert Bartlett. Is Gidley Park, Nicola, you're siding with?
I'm going to go with High Class Hero and Crow Park each way.
Mark?
Lecky Watson, but not one of my stronger views.
And you?
The top two declare it'll be a big headache.
A nice headache, though. It's a nice one that you don't mind suffering from. High Class Hero 6-1 and Reading Tommy Wrong is 13-2. That's the Albert Bartlett. Now it's time for the big one. Yes, the feature of the entire jump season. It is the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup, and there's only one place to start. Of course there is. It is a baby-faced young Dan Skelton leading Denman back into the winner's enclosure after the glorious Cheltenham. But there he is. Look at that. He's only a baby.
And look who's on the right.
Harry Fry, the proteges, leading back in Denman after one of the greatest Gold Cups we've ever seen. Can you remember much of that day, Dan?
Don't remember much of the night after it. I remember the day very clearly, actually. Sam kicking on at the top of the hill. What you don't realise about Denman here is that he goes home, basically sleeps the next 2 weeks. At the end of at the start of the next season, he has his fibrillating heart.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Relentless, remorseless, has pounded Carlton Star into submission.
Yeah.
The answer is Denman. The greatest racing commentary I've seen. For many people, one of the greatest races they've ever seen. You were around, obviously, Ditcheat at the time. Denman and Carlton Star were there. What was it like those days when Paul was winning every Grade 1 going?
It was like Paul and Willie are doing now. You know, it was remarkable. And Denman was this horse that captivated imagination. He made stories. He got chatter going. You couldn't say. Didn't matter if you said really exaggerated things about him. It didn't matter if you made really negative comments about him because. Harry.
You were making sure he weighed out anyway.
Yeah.
You get a job doing bouncer in the 21 club. Down track crowd.
Yeah, Paul just said to me, make sure he weighs in.
Well, you stuck to that.
Yeah, I was very good at taking instructions. But yeah, he was a horse that you could just there was no rules to him. You could be as rude as you wanted about him. You could be as ebullient as you wanted about him because it was water off a duck's back to Harry Finlay, who half-owned him, and then of course Paul Barber, who actually, Paul Barber owned a lot of great horses. He only owned one Denman. And he as much as he was a pure gentleman, there was a little bit of a little bit of I don't know, almost naughtiness that rubbed off everybody because of Denman. He was the underdog, but he was never the underdog. But it was amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't mind getting your hands on another Denman at some stage.
Well,
maybe it's Grey Dawning. Who knows? Maybe Grey Dawning is the next Denman. But Paul Townend, we're going to come to you here. Obviously, Galloping the Champs, even money favourite to win back-to-back Gold Cups, just like Album Photo did. The Galloping the Champs of 2024, how different is he to the Galloping the Champs of 2023?
Much more relaxed, I suppose. A year older, a year wiser.
A year better?
I don't know if he's better. He put up a fair performance there last year. I thought it was a huge, huge performance.
What did you think passing the stands with a Circuit the Race? Did you think you could win?
I wasn't beaten. We're still on the bridle. It was just a hell of a lot of them in front of me, and I needed an awful lot of luck for a safe passage through.
Here you are coming down to last with Brave Man's Game. Are you happy you have Brave Man's Game here?
you never know you stay in a Gold Cup until you do.
To win 7 lengths from here, Paul.
From here, yeah.
That's
A monster performance, I thought. And it showed when we came back to Punchestown, I thought. But yeah, it was a huge performance. And take him out of it, and the second horse has put up a huge performance. He's been in the thick of it the whole way around. We've got luck and come through and had a target on his back from a long way out.
It's obviously fantastic to be riding a horse like Galloping the Champs, and I'm sure there's pure relief and ecstasy there as we see after the race. But there's pressure too. There's pressure that comes attached to Galloping the Champs, because right now Constitution Hill is the poster boy in England, but Galloping the Champs is the poster boy in Ireland and in jump racing and in the Blue Ribbon event. He is the horse that we now expect to win every time he goes to the racetrack, and that's pressure.
It is, but he's straightforward too, I suppose. Like, the pressure with a horse like him that I have so much confidence in is a lot easier to take than one, you know, I'm unsure of or not as confident in. The feeling I get off him is special, and winning the Gold Cup is special. So yeah, I every time he's declared and my name goes down alongside him, the butterflies will go in your stomach a little bit, and you're anxious to get out there and get going on him.
Obviously, the first 2 fences are in front of the stands. As you're passing me in the stands, where would you like to be first time around?
Still on his back.
Good
no,
answer.
I'd imagine I'll have a bit more free rein this year. I've been riding him handy around Leopardstown because the shape of the race and things. Got too far back in the John Durkin, missed the first couple of fences, so I just let him off and let him do his thing. And to be honest, he was so simple to ride in Leopardstown. He was a dream to throw your leg over. It's just fortunate that he's running in the biggest race. And
Fast or Slow has beaten you twice, albeit around Punchestown. Are you happy that if the real Galloping the Champs turns up, you can beat Fast or Slow?
yeah, I give Fast or Slow all the respect he needs. He didn't get it after Punchestown at the Punchestown Festival because you're saying the second and third hard races, but he hasn't beaten us out of the park. The 2 times he beat him, he's given Galloping the Champs the biggest race he's had. Obviously the last day as well, down to the last. Martin Brazil will have him firing in Cheltenham, that's for sure. But I wouldn't get off Galloping the Champs, right?
Final question. Since we saw him at the Dublin Racing Festival, everything gone according to plan at home? Working well, looking well?
Yeah, I haven't sat in him. Adam rides him all his work. Hopefully I'll sit in him this week for his last couple of bits of work and hand him back then, and hopefully see him in the parade ring in Cheltenham.
Fingers crossed we see the real Galloping the Champs in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, because it'd be great if he could do back-to-back. Mark, will he do it?
things like this. Like, you're getting even money about a horse who the Racing Post Ratings team said is the best Gold Cup winner since Caught a Star, 184. Like, if you're to take that as being, literal, you'd say it's a hell of a price. But Fast or Slow, I can understand why some people, the angle with him is, last year at Dublin Racing Festival, he beat 23 lengths. Every year you get the pressure with a lot of these Martin Brazil horses, there's big spring targets, and the whole year building up to them. I'm not saying it's bonus territory, but you're going to get peak version. I just don't know if peak Fast or Slow is good enough to beat peak Galloping the Champ. I think the twice he's beat him, Galloping the Champ, the John Durkin tactically didn't unfold ideally for a horse who stays as well as he did up the hill in the Gold Cup last year. And at Punchestown, I forgive any horse who's been over the top. I'm just not sure the improvement is going to be enough to beat Galloping the Champ. If there was one at a price that I'd say that could sneak into the frame, it's Corach Rambler 20s. I think if he comes here, he now has his national mark. They don't need to worry about messing with that or fiddling with that.
A nice mark too.
A surprisingly nice mark.
Yeah.
I think he's a real chance of going back to back. He's a classy horse, and he won the national last year. The margin is a total. It's not the correct illustration of how superior he was to the field. And again, beating Fast or Slow in last year's Ultima. Fast or Slow is 5s, he's 20s. I just think I could see him being on the premises, peaking in the spring again. For me, Jerry Colomb the question for him is, who is the best horse Jerry Colomb has beaten? When he's won Envoy Allen this season, but last year's Novices staying Novice Chasers, I just don't think they were much of a bunch. And I know he's a rock solid horse. You'd like to have him, but I just think Galloping the Champ, if they're talking about him being a generational talent, the best has Caught a Star in that rating spectrum, he's the likeliest winner. And if you just ask me for an each way, I think Corach Rambler has potential to show up well and get into the frame.
Dan, is he the best since Caught a Star?
I'm not qualified to say that. I don't do enough I wouldn't do numbers and things like that, but visually, you'd have to say that he's as close as close as has been. But
is even money a good price?
I think it is, because he's proven that he can beat all the others, or the form that every form line there is proves that he can beat all of them. If you use Protectorat, who's not running in the race, who finished 5th in the race last year, who, with respect, can't be getting any better at his age. Shishkin only got the better of him late on the last day. Long press, we gave him weight, and he only just got the better of us late on. You'd have to say, is that strong enough form? Shishkin was just in front of Braveman's Game in the King George, who both got caught by Hewick. Is that quite good enough? Fast or slow? I think the biggest thing with fast or slow is stamina. Daft as it sounds, I think, like Paul says, you don't know you stay until you've been to it. And he's a very classy horse, and I think he's got that bit of a burst of speed that might not mean that he's an all-out 3 mile 2 horse.
And we have seen it in Gold Cups as well. Like you saw last year, halfway up the running, there's a half a length in it. You win by 7. Envoyelen was 2 lengths in front of Menelindo, wins by 15. That last 100 yards, it's stamina sapping, isn't it?
Yeah, so many that when you end up with there's no such thing as a bad Gold Cup, by the way. I hate that phrase, but when there have been Gold Cups that aren't as good as others, it's always been won by the horse that stays the furthest. You think like Lord Windermere and Synchronise, they're the horses that actually stayed the furthest that ended up winning them. It is a long, long way. And I think the longer trip will suit Jerry Colomb. I agree with Mark. I do have some question marks over his form. And I think the trip could get to the bottom of fast or slow, and Galloping the Champ it just looks superior. I suppose that's the main thing. The English ones will be well represented: Shishkin, Lompress, Braveman's Game, Korak Rambler. We're not going to be pushed aside, behind what could be an emphatic winner here. We're not going to be pushed aside as a nation in this race, but they have a lot to do to bridge that gap, as do the rest of the Irish, because he looks a class apart.
Depending on how the week has gone for this man to my left, if Willie's team is on fire all week and he's banging in the winners left, right and centre, this could be an absolute bloodbath for bookies this Cheltenham, because there's so many short prices, there's so many bankers, and then you're rolling into a short price Gold Cup favourite, and it's one of the biggest betting races of the year. Galloping the Champs is going to be massive, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, you look so happy as you say this as
Very
well.
happy.
You all do, but no, I think Galloping the Champ will win. He blew the competition away last year. We've seen that silence the doubters of the Dublin Racing Festival when beating Fast or Slow, who had beaten him twice before. It is going to be an interesting battle, I think, with Fast or Slow. I think he will have the stamina, but I still think Galloping the Champ wins. Fast or Slow's in there at 5-1. You've got Shishkin leading the British charge at 6-1, and really kind of threw himself in the mix after winning the Dem Chase, but I just think is unreliable. We can't dismiss Braveman's Game as well at 16-1. A Ladbrokes King George winner, came second in the race last year. So in terms of looking at who's going to go behind Galloping the Champ, you wouldn't rule out Braveman's Game. And I'm a bit with you on Korak Rambler as well. At 20-1, I'll be having a little each way. If you're looking for a finisher, I think Korak Rambler will be in amongst them. Absolutely,
your Grand National winner. So to sum up then, Paul Townend, you're hoping you're going to win another Gold Cup on Galloping the Champs?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't swap him.
Mark?
Galloping the Champ to win, Korak Rambler for a bit of each way value.
Galloping the Champ to win?
Singing from the same hymn sheet.
Pretty boring this, isn't it?
Yeah. We're making it easy
for this
though.
It is a complete annihilation job, potentially, with Galloping the Champs. We're all in the Galloping the Champs camps and hoping Paul can do it in the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. It's a big day on the Friday, Paul Townend. A big day for you. I'm sure you'll have plenty of rides. One of them will be Allegory Devassi in the Mayor's Chase against Dino Blue, who Mark Walsh will ride. You were second in the race last year to Impervious. Can you go one better?
I don't know. Look, she was good in beating Riviere de Tel the last day. It was an improved performance on a complete flop in Fairy House, So Dino Blue will be hard enough to crack though. JP always seems to have a mare in the reckoning. This one, I thought I was coming to win the race. Got the jump at the last year.
And
I'm well.
Don't bring it up, Paul. Please don't bring it up.
I'm well beaten at the line again,
Yeah.
So No, look, she'll run her race. At least she's going there on the back of a win. But could you be confident in her going one better? We'll need a lot of luck.
Any idea in the world what you might ride in the county hurdle?
No, I don't think I've a state man, if that's the angle you're taking.
That's what I was looking for. What is the next state man?
I don't know. They're hard come by. What's in there? There's a couple of the novices in there. Look, Absurd, I suppose, ran better the last day in Leopardstown, but does he jump well enough? Like, you know, you're saying hindsight, yeah, state man was thrown in, but there was a lot of doubters of the way he jumped and had he the experience for it. And to me, he was a lot more straightforward and a more solid horse going there than, you know, Hunter's Yarn last year. It finds him out, the opposite.
Okay. Mark, it's the last day. People want to go home in a high with their pockets full. What have you got for us?
I actually like Absurd in the county. Yeah, I've had my eye on him for a while. I think even from a handicapping point of view, 138 for horses won at Ebard. It's ran really well in the Melbourne Cup. He's kind of come that kind of quieter route, Killarney, Galway. Leopardstown last time, it was just nice to see that he had a flicker in it. We've seen horses in that race at Leopardstown then step up and win at Cheltenham handicap, Gallup and Deschamps included. I think he was 4th or 5th that year. Mikey Fogarty might have been on him. Ran well, but took another step forward. So I think he's a big player in the county. For all that, you know, I know you're a King of Kingsfield man, and 140 to replicate the Irish mark, that was eye-catching. And I think in the Martin Pipe, Key to Bourbon, maybe he's just been a little bit found now, but he has that type of profile. It's harder, I suppose. You'd love a novice. You'd love a novice in those races. Hard to qualify now with needing the 4 runs. There are 2 examples of horses that will be qualified, but just still have the chance to be better than their mark still. So they're 2 for me. It'll be interesting to see as well. I know Michael O'Sullivan rides out in Willie Mullins, I think I'm correct in saying, and he's still eligible to ride the Martin Pipe this year, even though he was champion conditioner last season. That could be a nice factor to have on your side. I don't know what he ride in it, but it could be nice for Willie to call on that too.
Yeah, could be a few phone calls coming Michael's way. Favor, how was Favor?
Yeah, he's all right. He ran really well the other day in the Betfair hurdle, so I think that he will take his chance in the county. I'd like to get a load of Sud in there as well. He ran in the same race. He ran a corker. I'd say you were very excited for most of the home straight. Yes, I thought we were going to win, but then we didn't. So that was that. And then in the Martin Pipe, we'll have a few. I'd say our best chance is Nurse Susan. Okay, yeah, Nurse Susan, strong traveller. Yeah, she won the last 2. She's won both the hurdles since she's come back from injury. So she's a high class horse. Excellent, Nicola. What have you got for us on Friday?
Well, DJ, I think it's on the line. We'll take the beating in the Hunters at 3-1. That's one we want to keep on side. And Sam Majest in the Martin Pipe is again in that top 5 of the best backed of the week at 4-1.
4-1 now. Wow. Sam Majest. Okay, best bets on Friday. Gold Cup Day. Your best ride is
Gallup and Deschamps.
Mark.
Key to Bourbon and the Martin Pipe.
Oh, nice price too. Key to Bourbon for Gigginstown and Willie Mullins. Nicola.
No big prices. Gallup and Deschamps at even money.
Gallup and Deschamps for Nicola as well. Dan.
Nurse Susan.
Oh, Nurse Susan. There, chalk it down, write it, remember it. Nurse Susan. She's going to find the cure, is she? And everybody tells me that Fernslock won't stay in the Hunter's Chase. I think Fernslock has a class edge in the Hunter's Chase. I think Fernslock will win the Hunter's Chase. So Fernslock would be my best bet on Friday. So before we get to our charity bets, for the whole festival, folks. Nicola, Ladbrokes, massive week. What offers have you got for Ladbrokes punters?
Yeah, there's more to be revealed, but of course we've got an odds boost for every race and the lucky dip as well. So check it out. Check it out,
the lucky dip. Paul, huge week. The very best of luck to you. I'm sure the nerves will be growing as the days go by, but you are in a wonderful position and you've earned that right to be in that position. What would you be happy with? Don't give me now, just want to get one winner. What would you be happy with? What's a good week for Paul Townend?
I'm not going to I've never put a number on a winner for a season, a week or nothing. Lot of big rides. I've gone there with big rides before and it's been, Fernie Hollow the last day, last race on the Wednesday and you're scratching around for one. So one done me at that stage. But you're expected to get more going over there. I don't know. I have a lot of big rides. They're not. I'm going to get beaten more times than I win over there. So the novices can get beaten. You're hoping the big ones are solid of the open races, yeah.
And Dan, it's getting to the stage where you very rarely leave a festival without a winner. I'm sure you'd be happy to get one on the board and maybe sneak another one somewhere along the line.
Well,
a lot of pressure on Grey Dawning.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know, but we'll be. He's our flag bearer for this festival for sure. If you can get one as a trainer outside of Willie Mullins, I think if you can get one, you feel like you've got one. If you can get two, you're clearly doing your job all right. So we'll be trying for one, and then if you get one, we'll ask for another, please.
Perfect. So it's charity bet time. This is where we reveal our strongest fancies of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. I'm going to kick off. I'm going to go to the closing race on Tuesday with Corbett's Cross in the National Hunt Chase. So that will be my charity bet, please, Nicola. Paul, this is not easy for you.
No,
You're a charity bet, and it's important, Paul. It's important to get it right. It's for charity. We need to raise funds, so don't just spout out any old name. Think about it.
I'm going to go. I'm going to get greedy, and I'm going to hope Lossiemouth, El Fabiolo, and Galloping the Champs win.
In a treble?
Yeah.
Okay. Lossiemouth, El Fabiolo.
And Nicola's going to boost it up for me too.
I did say we do have an odds boost in every day, every race, so we'll see what we can do.
We'll do the best we can for you, Paul.
And even if two of them win, she might give us a...
yeah, money
see
back.
how the week goes.
Mark Boylan's best bet of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival is?
If we're going multiples, I'll go Ballyburn in the Supreme, Factified in the Brown Advisory. I think that's just about 130 together in a double. Surely they give us fives.
5-1, Nicola. He's not asking for much, is he?
It's for charity, we'll agree.
Nicola?
I've given a lot of double price silly naps possibly, but I'm going to play it safe for charity and stick with Galloping the Champ at even money.
Okay, Galloping the Champs at evens in the big one. Now, Dan, I have a feeling you're going to pick your kind of sneaky one here for the charity because you know it's for a good cause. What have you got for us?
I was just going to go for Grey Dawning in the Turners.
But
it's something that we all agree on. we all agreed on, so I thought everyone would be with me.
But is there a book?
No, that'll be it.
Grey Dawning?
Yeah.
Okay. Grey Dawning in what race?
At the moment, it's looking like the Turners. But
Okay.
Nicola, will you give us either race?
I'll
Yes.
give you either race.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there we go, folks. That has been our 2024 Cheltenham Festival Preview in association with Ladbrokes and the On The Wire podcast. My thanks to Paul Townend, who, with granted a bit of luck, will be champion jockey once again at the Cheltenham Festival, to the Irish Fields Mark Boylan, to our very own Nicola McGeady from Ladbrokes, and to Dan Skelton. I've been David Jennings from the Racing Post. Thanks for watching and best of luck. And don't forget to gamble responsibly at the Cheltenham Festival. Only bet what you can afford to lose. Best of luck.